here we go.
Good stuff.
Scott, Miki.
How are you?
I'm good, man. It's so nice to have you.
Yeah, we've been wanting to do this for a while.
Yeah, nice. I know that your friend Gord somehow stumbled across this. Maybe you sent him the link or something, and is really enjoying watching this.
Oh,
too.
is he?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned to him we were out for breakfast maybe about 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Met at the Sour Pickle downtown.
Oh yeah. You guys come by the cigar store that day, right?
We did.
Yeah.
The two of us.
They mentioned it to me. My staff did,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
wasn't in that day.
Yeah. Oh, you were on your way in, but you were late.
Yeah.
And we're like, of course.
Yeah. What?
Yeah. We're not sticking around. It'll be another hour.
Yeah. Exactly. If I show up at all. Yeah. So it's cool that some of the customers and stuff are enjoying this. So I think people like to hear your story and what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, for sure.
So, just a quick background. You work here in town, right?
Well, I work in Sydney.
Okay, in Sydney, yeah.
So drive out every morning and spend my days there Monday to Friday.
Yeah. And what do you do?
I work at Viking Air.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I've been there since almost 10 years now. It's going to be 10 years next spring.
What, really? Already,
yeah,
eh?
Yeah, it went by fast.
Time flies.
Because remember when I first got the job, right?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. And what is your job at Viking Air?
I'm a quality assurance auditor, and I'm responsible for the quality system for the entire company, which means both cities. That we also have a plant in Calgary.
Oh, are you flying out to Calgary quite a bit? Or?
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
When it's busy, about once a month.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, what does that mean? Does that mean that you audit and check over the planes after they're assembled during assembly?
No, what it is I make sure. We should back up a bit.
Sure.
When we talk about aircraft, they're built under what's called a manufacturing certificate. It's something that Transport Canada issues.
Okay.
And essentially, it's a set of rules that says you're going to do this. If we give you a license to create or build new aircraft, these are the rules you have to follow in Canada. They're law.
Sure.
It's a Canadian aviation law.
All right.
And or the Aeronautics Act of Canada.
Okay.
So my job, first and foremost, is to make sure that we never lose that certificate.
Right.
We have to be able to make sure we follow all the rules that they set out about manufacturing practices, quality manuals, management, all that kind of stuff. And the second portion of it is when we develop our own internal processes, SOPs, standard operating procedures, work instructions, things like that. I have to make sure that, first of all, those are not in disagreement with the aviation laws.
Okay.
And secondly, we have to make sure that the guys on the floor, the guys and the girls on the floor, are actually following our procedures.
Right.
That have been approved to.
Right.
Right. So
yeah,
they're
to keep
all
you
linked.
compliant, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
So, best case scenario, Transport Canada leaves us alone. They let us certify our own planes.
Right.
They've gotten to a point of trust with us.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And worst case, they yank our certificates and everybody goes home.
Yeah. Right.
So, yeah, it's a bit
Yeah,
of
you don't want to
pressure,
screw that one up.
Yeah, and I'm the only auditor. I'm the only one that does it.
Holy shit.
For both cities, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
It is.
Yeah, that's good work, man.
It is good work. Yeah, it's interesting.
It is, eh?
Every day is different.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are you guys back up and running?
We are running.
Mm-hmm.
We're at reduced production right now. Planes are expensive. They're big ticket products. And,
right.
When things like this happen, either with economy or, as we learned, pandemics,
Yeah.
People tend to stop spending money for the time being.
Yeah.
They want to see what's going to happen. And some government agencies, they're still buying aircraft from us.
Okay.
Right now, water bombers are hot.
Yeah, are they ever?
Been doing really well with that. That's the one thing that has really been good for Viking in the past
You
couple
guys
of
shipping
years.
planes down to California? And
Yeah, to Bozeman, Montana.
oh, Bozeman.
Yeah, and
What's happening there? Is there fires there, or are they kind of like headquartered out of there?
Yeah, they've got a headquarter there.
Yeah.
And they're quite good, I guess you could say, at offering their services to different places in that area, because Western United States, pretty hot, pretty dry, and they're busy.
Right.
They're really busy, so they need aircraft, they need parts.
You should figure out a way to get down there to make sure everything's okay.
I'd rather go over
bring
to
your fly rod with you.
The fleet in Spain. That would be cool. They've got a big fleet there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Spain,
nice.
Greece, all through that area.
Yeah.
I think Spain has the most of our of the ones that we have the certificate for.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Bozeman's the home of Sims.
Mm-hmm.
Sims, fishing gear and whatnot.
Yeah.
And that's not far from Missoula.
No. That would be all right.
That would be all right.
Yeah.
That's where they filmed, or I don't know if they actually filmed The River Runs Through It there, or it just was. It was supposed to take place there, though, right in Missoula.
Yeah,
yeah.
Some good fly fishing there.
Yeah. Even though, from what I've read, that cast, that ghost casting or shadow cast, it's all bullshit.
Oh, okay.
More likely to scare the fish than to attract the fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to be whipping that line over a fish's head, right?
No.
Yeah, it's not gonna entice no fish to rise to the surface at all.
No, they can see it.
No, they can see it. All right, so cool. So that job's going pretty good for you guys.
It's going pretty good.
Yeah.
We're gonna really try and do the best we can through the winter.
So with production right now, is production at a reduced rate because you guys can't fully staff it and socially distance, or is it down because you're just not getting the amount of orders?
Mostly because of the pandemic.
Yeah, like the
distancing.
The distancing, right?
Yeah, it's especially on the floor. It's very, very difficult.
How could you do it?
Because the guys are pretty close together.
It's like an assembly line, right? Is that sort of style? Or?
Yeah, it is that style.
Yeah.
They're arranged into different cells.
Mm-hmm.
Each cell has a different activity. Like we have what we call the Assembly 1, which deals with wings. That's where the wing production is. Assembly 2 deals with cockpits, engine cowls, and nacelles. And Assembly 3 is the small detail parts. Okay. So the items from Assembly 3, which are the small builds of sheet metal, of mechanical assemblies, they get distributed to the other 2 cells for major structural assembly.
Right.
So in essence, it is assembly line, but the individual units of the assembly line are groups of people.
Right.
Yeah.
Just so, because some people probably don't know, what do you guys build? What planes are you building?
The Twin Otter.
Twin Otter?
Yeah. What we call the DHC-6.
Yeah.
You see them down in the inner harbor. They're the twin engine planes.
Yeah.
And we also are manufacturing right now conversion kits for the CL-215 water bombers.
Okay.
Which are the yellow.
Yeah,
you don't see too many around here.
No, I've seen them in the Okanagan, I think, though.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
So we designed the engine conversion kits and the cockpit upgrades for those to go from your old analog dials and gauges to full glass cockpit with LCD screens. And
right.
So modernizing those. And
so the Otter, is that a Canadian plane?
Yes, they are.
That like Canadian designed and now you guys own that.
We own them. We own the.
Is that the same as the Beaver?
Yep.
Yeah.
We own the type certificates, which are basically the piece of paper that says that we own the designs and the exclusive rights to that aircraft.
Right.
If anybody wants to make new parts for those aircraft, they have to go through us. If they don't, they're fake.
Oh,
so
right.
That's the thing.
Right.
If we ever want to build new aircraft from scratch using our data plates, it's us. We're the only ones that are allowed to do it. So we own that aircraft. And we recently acquired the certificates to the Dash 8 as well.
Oh.
The big WestJet commuter planes. That belongs to Viking now too. And that was also a de Havilland, or it was a Bombardier de Havilland design.
Ah, okay.
And so now for the first time I think it's the first time in I don't know how many years or if ever, all the de Havilland products are under one roof now, and that's Viking. Yeah. So the Chipmunk, the Beaver, the Caribou, the Buffalo search and rescue plane, the Otters, the Twin Otters, they're all yours. They're all ours.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's impressive.
Yeah.
If you think about it, right? That's impressive.
It is. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So you guys are doing well. The company's doing well.
We're doing all right.
Yeah.
You know, for a manufacturing plant doing what we do.
In Canada.
West Coast, there's nothing else around
nothing.
us.
Yeah, no. Well, Boeing, but that's You
well,
guys,
yeah. As far as Canada goes,
But as far as Canada goes, nothing. Yeah.
it's
I mean, Boeing's probably only like 100 miles from here, really.
right.
But
And the only other big player in Canada is Bombardier, and they're slowly getting out of the small aircraft market.
is Bombardier going to be able to make it?
They seem to be really concentrating on a single segment of business. Like,
Okay.
as far as I know, they even got rid of their train business a little while ago.
Oh.
That was a big one. The guys at Quester Tangent out in Central Saanich did a lot of work for them.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if they're doing anything more from Bombardier.
What's Bombardier going to be left with?
They have a commercial plane,
Yeah.
the C series, I think they call
Yeah, I
it,
don't know.
and been out of touch. But you remember
Yeah.
back in the day, they were into snowmobiles and personal watercraft. I don't even know if they do any of that anymore. I'd have to check that out.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've slowly been, I don't know. It's like a slow close down,
I need to move this back a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just a little hot.
You can turn it down too. If you move it, it's gonna buzz, but that's fine. Yeah. Good. I want to keep you warm, but I'm cooking you instead.
Because it's hot.
Nice. Yeah, Bombardier has been sucking off the government teat for how long, and they've never really been able to stand on their own 2 feet. And I don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah. But it was
It's a shame.
for as far as big business, big industry.
Yeah.
The government has an interest in keeping them going.
Sure.
It was the same thing with Ford and
Yeah,
a few years ago. It was important, no matter how much money they owed, it was important to keep them around.
Yeah.
Because it's
Well, it's
big for Canada.
It's jobs.
It is.
It's jobs for our country.
a
Good
lot of
jobs.
people.
Good paying jobs.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Cool. So you are the son of immigrant parents?
yes.
Both?
Well, one of them.
One of them.
My mom immigrated to Canada in 1953 from Germany.
Okay.
Very, very north coast, a place called Nordenham, way at the very, very top on the North Sea.
So that's funny. When I thought your dad would have been the immigrant, but I guess he was
No.
born here.
He was born in BC. Yeah, he's what they call Nice or second generation, because my grandfather was living here already, of course.
Right.
And,
Yeah, the Japanese have been in Canada a long time.
Oh, they served,
right?
They served in World War I with the Japanese Canadian with the military. There were about
Is that a
200
fact?
of them. About 200 of them. They've been around.
Wow.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow. So your dad is Japanese.
He's Japanese.
Born of Japanese parents, but born in Canada.
Right.
I heard they might have been born up north in Bella Bella.
Bella Bella. That's where
Unbelievable.
that's where he's from.
Yeah.
They were fishing, commercial fishing. Still don't know why my grandma was on the boat at that time, because she had 3 younger kids as well than my dad. My dad has 3 younger siblings.
Oh.
And I'm not too sure on the timeline. It's been difficult to try and get information from Dad because he's not well.
Oh, okay.
And doesn't remember too much. But
Yeah, what the heck was she doing on the boat? She had 3 younger. Where were the kids?
I don't know. They may have been in Bella Bella. They may have been stationed there, like living there temporarily while he was fishing.
Okay, sure.
Because back then, even now, that area is incredible salmon fishing.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But
That's Bella Bella's right near the Haida Gwaii, the Queen
That's
Charlotte
right.
Islands.
And in
yeah,
the 40s, it would have been off the hook. Like,
Oh, I'm sure you could have just scooped the salmon out of the ocean.
yep, for sure.
Yeah.
So more than likely they were living there, and there was a hospital there. So Dad was born in the hospital.
That's interesting. There was a hospital in Bella Bella in the 40s because I'd be surprised if there was a hospital there now. I know there is, but you know what I mean? It's like it's pretty isolated. If you don't know where it is, Google Bella Bella. It's up there.
It is up there. So if you take the southern tip of the Haida Gwaii or the Charlottes and you go directly east, you would cut right through Bella Bella.
Okay.
So it is quite a ways up.
Quite a ways up. That's way. I don't know how many miles or kilometers past the northern tip of Vancouver Island.
Yeah, it's a ways up there.
It's a ways. Yeah, it's a few hundred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Long time ago now.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Now it is. So yeah, he was born there. As far as my dad's family's history, my grandfather was born in 1898 in Japan.
Yeah.
In the northern section of Japan, as far as I know. Best information I can get.
Yeah.
And my grandmother is she's from Tokyo, and She died in 94. My grandfather died in 77. So
So you didn't really have a chance to really know him.
No, I was 7 years old when he died.
Yeah.
So they came to through the States, through California, initially.
Like
When they immigrated, they came into the States.
part of the gold rush?
No, it was logging.
Okay.
My grandfather was working in the logging camps, and eventually they ended up moving north to Canada and settled in Steveston.
Oh.
So that's where most of
Where's
the...
Steveston?
Steveston is on near Richmond. It's on the very southwestern...
Yeah, it's part of the greater Vancouver area now, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where a lot of the Japanese Canadians on the coast settled. A lot of them lived in Steveston, and a lot of them still do.
Oh, okay.
So we still have friends and not too many relatives now, but there's still people that live there. So it was a big Japanese Canadian community. So so they were there. They had some kids. Grandfather was a commercial fisherman. Grandma was a homemaker. And then Pearl Harbor.
Jesus.
Yeah, December 7th, 1941.
Yeah.
The next day after Pearl Harbor, Japan decides, well, we're probably going to knock off British Hong Kong and Malay while we're at it. December 8th, they invaded those areas.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a mess for sure.
Yeah.
And right away, Canada, it was an undeclared war. Basically, they just attacked. They didn't announce any intentions or anything like that. They just did it. Of course, it was a surprise. And the next couple of days, Canada basically said, well, we're at war. It was a declaration of war. That's how we're going to move forward. So
at that point.
Yeah.
But Canada was in the war before Pearl.
They were, but not against Japan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it was an important part in the history of my family anyway, because when 1942 rolled around, Mackenzie King said, okay, this is what we're going to do. All the Japanese Canadians that are in BC, you got to move east of the Rockies. We're moving you out. And of course that included the Japanese on the coast. Essentially was
even the Canadians.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
A majority of the
just
Japanese
because you look
Canadians,
Japanese,
they were of Canadian citizenship. They were Canadian citizens.
They were Canadian born too.
That's right.
Big difference.
There is a big difference.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter to him. And so essentially what he said is you either move east of the Rockies or you go back where you came from, which was an interesting statement because we're from here.
I was born here.
But of course, what he intended was just go back to Japan.
Yeah.
And the thing that a lot of people don't realize is they've never lived there. They have no idea what Japan is
It'd be like someone telling me to go back to Italy.
Right.
What the fuck? What do I know about Italy? Just because I look like I was born here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would be the same as your dad. Immigrant parents, born in Canada. Canada's my country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, where am I going to go back to?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Italy.
Exactly.
Did your dad knew the language?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Because both of them.
Because his parents probably spoke it at home all the time, right?
Very little English, actually.
Right.
Especially
kind of like me. Like my parents speak it, but my grandparents really didn't.
Right. But if you have relatives that live, let's say, in Toronto.
Yeah.
There's quite a large Italian Canadian community in let's say St. Clair Street, right?
Oh yeah.
When you live in an area that big with that many people,
you don't need to learn the language.
That's right.
You
So
don't.
you
My
don't.
grandma on my mom's side, my grandma and grandfather on my dad's side, they lived in Canada for 50 years. They did not know the language. Yeah. They did not know how to speak English. My grandfather did on my mom's side because he went and worked with Canadians.
Yeah.
My granddad, he was on a paving crew. They were all Italians. Yeah. You'd think
gets you through the day.
Yeah. They were on a paving crew. They were all Italians. Yeah. There was no need. Like, literally, right from the foreman, like all the way down, all Italian. So he didn't need to. He didn't learn a damn word.
Yeah, in neighborhoods like that, your stores, your social life, everything there is.
See, my grandma knew a little bit more because she had to go and do the shopping, right?
Yeah.
So she knew a bit more English. But grandpa, God, not a word. Not a word.
And same with my grandpa. Very, very little English. Never had a conversation with him. Well, mind you, I was 7 when he died.
Yeah.
My grandma, some English,
Yeah.
enough to be understood.
Yeah.
Of course, Dad would translate as much as he could for us.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was an interesting mix. He was tall, 6 feet as far as I know.
Really?
Yeah, and she was 4'10", and she had 8 kids.
Oh, poor lady.
8 kids. Yeah, it was just a tiny thing.
Yeah.
Nicest lady though, man. She was a gem.
Yeah.
Every time we would visit her, she would entertain us. She could juggle oranges.
Oh, hilarious.
Just stuff like that. Always had food. Whenever we walked into her apartment, all you could smell was sushi. It was
Really?
I guess she knew we were coming.
She was always making the rice and getting everything ready.
And it was a
And
pretty cool visit.
where do they live? Here in Victoria? Or?
No, she lived in Steveston.
Oh, they all.
went.
Okay.
Yeah, she lived and died there. When as far as Canada goes.
So you guys would go over and visit.
Yeah. Other than the camps, though, the internment camps.
Yeah. So we'll go back. We're gonna get back to that. Yeah. Yeah. So Pearl Harbor happens.
Yeah. Mackenzie
King
kind of throws a fit.
He throws.
Yeah. What the rumor is that the Japanese Canadians, especially on the coast, they were mapping the coastline to help the Japanese Navy prepare for an
I
invasion.
heard that from someone.
Yeah. Don't know if it's true, but this is what they say.
And they said that they were mapping the coast and sending back the information to Japan. They were talking. They were mapping the silt, the sand, the rock.
Yeah.
You've heard this, right?
Yeah.
Like 7 different types of sedimentary whatever. And
Yeah. They're just looking for fish.
come on,
You know.
how would they even get the information back to Japan in the 40s?
I don't know anybody there.
They
They're all
don't-
Canadians.
They're all Canadian. Yeah, like they don't know anyone. Exactly.
Yeah, so
and what are they
it
gonna
was-
fucking send a letter with the? Come on, sounds like a pile of shit.
But of course, it was public sentiment as well.
Sure.
He had to bend to the will of the Canadians.
Yeah.
And because they were, understandably, it was.
It was
very
it was
tense
tense
time.
times. Yeah. Yeah.
And people, when there's tense times, they tend to look in a very short-sighted way.
Yeah.
Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. I'm surrounded by Japanese. They got to go.
Yeah.
And that's all it took. That's all it took.
Yeah,
was rumor, conjecture, and just it was a racial view. It really was.
Sure, it was.
My dad dealt with racism all through his life.
Oh, I'm sure.
Even here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that was pretty crazy. So I guess it was around 1942. The government said, everybody, all the men from ages about 18 to 45, you got to go. And we're selling your houses, your boats, everything to pay for it.
Yeah, that's the part that pisses me off.
Yeah,
I could see them make. Okay, we got to move you. It's wartime. I can see that, maybe.
Yeah.
But the confiscating of their property that they possessed legally.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah, took it away. A lot of the local people, like even here in Victoria, there was a building in Oak Bay. I don't know if it was the Willows Fairgrounds or something like that. A lot of the confiscated product or confiscated goods from the Japanese families here were held there, and after the sale to local people, at dirt cheap prices, the place burned down.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, mystery.
Yeah, who knows, eh? But of course, that's nobody really knows. I had heard this from my shop teacher that's lived in Oak Bay his whole life in high school. I learned from him in high school, and he says, "Did you know that when I was a kid, I saw this happen?" And no, I said I didn't know that.
Oak Bay is the most racist fucking community in Western Canada.
So I tend to believe what he was telling me.
It was,
Yeah.
Do you know that on the deeds in Oak Bay, my brother's a realtor, and it's still on the deeds, it says that Asians can't buy on some of the deeds in Oak Bay. Yeah, no minorities, right? Like they can't. It wouldn't. You couldn't legally uphold any of that bullshit today, but yeah, it says stuff like that.
Yeah,
like they were just not interested in seeing anyone other than their own.
Yeah,
there.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Human nature.
Now the Asians own half of Oak Bay, right?
Yeah. Well, like in Richmond, you go there now, 70% are Asian or East Asian descent of the people that live there. And there was a large Asian community, not just Japanese, but with from people from China, India, right? And they just as time moved on, they made it their home. It's just a natural progression of things, right?
Sure, yeah.
And some great convenience stores through Richmond now.
I bet.
Man.
Haven't been in a long time.
Yeah.
Bet you get some great food.
Yeah. Very busy.
Yeah.
A lot of the signage has changed. A lot of it isn't English anymore, so you kind of have to guess by looking through the windows of what they sell.
Yeah.
But
I like that.
Yeah.
I think that's neat.
Authentic stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty cool. So, yeah, 1845, the men, they had to move. A lot of them were moved to camps. The other messed up thing is that the women and children, because Japanese society is patriarchal.
Sure.
The man rules the roost.
Okay.
And when the men are separated from the family, everything is turned upside down.
Because they don't have that order.
That's right. So the wives, the women were expected to take over that role. And
how's that work?
it was hard,
Yeah.
right? And afterwards, when the women and children were eventually moved, a lot of the times they were moved to different camps. Sometimes the kids were separated from the mom to a different camp.
Jesus.
There was no guarantee you'd end up in the same place. You go where you're told to go.
So these camps, these internment camps, were what? Just a concentration camp? Were they a labor camp? Were they?
No, they were mostly abandoned towns and villages.
Okay.
Like my dad was in Greenwood, which was maybe 20 clicks.
That's kind of like South Okanagan, right near the U.S.
Grand Forks.
Yeah,
Right through there. Yeah. It was a little bit west of Grand Forks.
Yeah, right.
And it was.
Is that Greenwood's along Highway 3, right?
I'm not too sure.
Yeah,
the last time.
Thought it was.
The only time I was
like
there.
just past Big White.
No, it's even further than that. It's past Midway.
Oh yes, past Midway.
It's about 15 kilometers northwest of Grand Forks.
Okay.
So quite a bit out. So you go through Osoyoos and then head east for
so that's along Highway 3 then.
Yeah.
Osoyoos, then Midway, then Greenwood. Yeah.
So Greenwood was essentially an abandoned mining town.
Okay.
They had a smelter there for. I'm not even sure what the metal was. Maybe silver or something like that.
Yeah, could be nickel.
But it was basically, as far as the government was concerned, it was an ideal place for a lot of these people to go.
Sure. So they weren't east of the Rockies, though.
No, they weren't.
No.
That was a bit of an interesting situation because by 1947, the government kind of backed down on that idea, on that exclusion zone. I guess
a long way.
Yeah, they couldn't make it work or couldn't swing it. I don't know, but it never actually happened.
Okay.
So yeah, Greenwood, it was basically a closed small town where you would live, you would grow vegetables.
Yeah, because where are you getting your food from?
It would come by train.
Okay, so they kept them fed?
They kept them fed. Not very, though.
Yeah.
A lot of times the train wouldn't even stop and they just kick food off the train.
Oh, Jesus.
Dad had mentioned a lot of times that the rice had mold in it, and it was just whatever.
Yeah.
So they were fed, and Japanese people being a very social culture, they set up like judo clubs, social. They
started to create a life there.
Exactly, and they did a darn good job of it. It was by no means for us today comfortable.
No,
but they weren't beaten by guards, or they weren't anything like you would normally hear about, like a concentration camp. Because it was an internment camp in the sense that was, you have to live here. You can leave if you want, but you got nowhere to go. A, you're in the middle of nowhere, and B, wherever you go, you're going to be sent back.
Yeah,
right. Because people just don't want you in their community. You're not supposed to be there. So, my dad's oldest brother, I think it was his oldest brother, or somebody he knew. He was 17 or 18 at the time. Just couldn't do it, and disappeared in the middle of the night. Either walked to another town or whatever it was. He didn't die, but he left.
Right.
And I don't know what happened to him. The story on that is kind of cloudy, but some of them could not cope with what was going on, especially when you're 17 or 18. You have all sorts of crap going through your head anyway.
Yeah.
And just decided that I'm not staying. I'm not going to live like this. This isn't right, and I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And you can be pretty hard-headed when you're 18, right?
Yeah, sure.
And even with odds like that, they left, or he left.
Wow.
So yeah, don't really know what happened to him. So yeah, Dad was there.
Did they ever see him again?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My dad was there from when he was 2 or 3 until he was 9.
Oh, so it lasted a long time.
Yeah, to 1949.
So they confiscated all their property. They sold it at auction. Took away their land.
Yeah.
Took away their boats.
Yep.
Right. Sold the fish boats.
Yep.
Fishing license. Did they have fishing licenses back in those days, or could you just get a boat and fish?
No, the Japanese actually had a fairly steep license fee compared to the white guys.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But
so they took their licenses away as well?
Oh yeah, everything was gone.
Everything. So when your dad came back, he had
there was nothing.
Nothing.
No. The only thing that you
Jesus
had
Christ.
was that you couldn't have the RCMP sicked on you. That was the only benefit you had when you came back after 1949. You were allowed to go back into where you lived, and you were totally on your own. The only benefit you had is that no one would call the cops on you because they couldn't.
Right. Because the war was over.
You had a right to be there.
Yeah.
But you had no other rights.
Jesus.
Yeah, so you had to start from scratch, and they did.
Well, I'm sure.
And they did it well.
See, that's a piss. Yeah, I'm sure they did.
You can't keep them down, man.
No, that's a piss off because, his dad came here and started building a life for the family, and then all that legacy was taken away too. Yeah, in a way, right? Like all that hard work. And did they have bank accounts? Did they have any cash or?
They had cash. Yeah, they did well. Like even after.
But I mean, the government comes in, takes everything away, kicks them off their land, takes away all their material items. Did they have a bank account that they had money in, or did they have some cash in a sock, or how did they or did they just get put back with absolutely no support?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I would think that a lot of them would have kept their money with them for various reasons.
Yeah, sure. Well, distrust.
Exactly. And I'm not really sure. Because when Dad came back, he was just a kid.
Right.
Not many details. Parents don't talk to you about finances.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, right. Old school.
So, but we can guess. We can make a good guess.
Yeah. I know another Japanese family in town here is the Sasakis, and their grandfather owned, I don't know how much, but a lot of Salt Spring Island.
Oh, really?
Just a shitload of it. Just a ton. And, of course, it all got taken away as well. Yeah. And I'd love to have one of them on the podcast just to find out what happened to them, Yeah. Because, you think about that land on Salt Spring Island, oceanfront land on Salt Spring Island is $1 million per building lot now, right? Yeah. We're not talking small amounts of money,
no.
I don't know.
Do they still have ownership over there? They still have some land?
I don't think so. No, I think it all got taken away, and they never went back to Salt Spring again. Yeah.
So Dad, the guy's been through a lot, man.
So we're gonna talk about your dad.
Yeah,
let's talk about him.
A little bit more.
What was his name?
His given name is Francis.
That's his Christian name.
Yeah, St. Francis.
Yeah,
and there was.
Do you know his Japanese name?
Yoshio.
Okay.
It's the same as mine.
Is your legal name Yoshio?
No, my middle name is Yoshio.
Oh, okay.
But his legal name, I guess it would be Francis Yoshio Eugene. He had a third name as well, Miki. So
it's Miki. I say Mickey, but it's Miki.
Both of the vowels they have the same sound.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But Mickey.
Whatever. Yeah.
It's all good.
I don't mean nothing.
I know who I am. I know you're trying to refer to me, so that's all right.
Yeah.
That's what names are for, right?
Yeah, exactly. As long as we know who we're talking about, right?
Yeah. So they came back. They built up their lives, families, everything else. And Dad finished high school. He had his own commercial fishing boat when he was 15 or 16. Fishing on his own out in the Fraser River.
So he got back into fishing.
Yep, that was all
that was a trade, right?
Yeah, that's basically all you could do there. And why wouldn't you? Like, the fishing was crazy.
It was good business back in
Yeah.
those days, wasn't it?
They could do a 10, 15-minute jaunt up the Fraser, fill the boat, and come back.
Are you serious
Yeah.
in those days,
It
eh?
just doesn't happen. Like, it was a
Yeah.
day thing. You never did night trips.
You never
because-
stayed out overnight?
Never needed to.
Because,
No.
yeah, jeez.
Yeah. And they made
Have we
good
not
money.
fucked that up? The fishery?
I know.
I don't know what we did. I mean, it's a combination of overfishing and logging and
Yeah. And now they
Yeah.
make 2-3, straight day trips to get to the Charlottes to fish there for your opening of 2 or 3 days. And
I
then,
know.
it's a lot of money now to actually be in the business.
Yeah.
You spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to stay in the business.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so yeah, they built up their lives again. And my dad was actually the first person in the side of either family to attend university. He went to UBC for 4 years.
Oh.
And his dad was asking him, "Why are you wasting your time doing this school thing? Like, you should be working. You should be fishing. You're wasting your time." He didn't understand. Of course,
Yeah.
he couldn't. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But Dad wanted an education.
That's
and,
cool.
He got a degree in teaching. So ended up going back to Richmond High School, where he went to high school as a teacher. 4 years later, there he is. "Hi, I'm back as a teacher." And everybody's rolling their eyes, right? And
Because all the teachers would have still been there.
That's right. So he taught woodwork, drafting, industrial arts, set design, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
And so that's up until he met my mom. My mom's got an interesting story too.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
we'll get there.
yeah. So yeah, he went through school, became a teacher, met my mom, got married, had us, and that's where my own story begins, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, so as far as my mom and dad, unlikely couple back then. Anyway.
Yeah, very unlikely. What year did they meet?
They met in the early 60s.
Oh, okay.
They had probably known each other for a while.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure of that.
So did your mom emigrate to Canada after the second?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1952.
Yeah. Yeah, she wasn't received here with open arms either, was she?
No. She came
just
in
like
through-
my family, right? Italian coming here after the war. They
Yeah.
they weren't really happy to see them.
What city did they land in when they first came to Canada? Where did they end up? Montreal?
No, they came here.
Oh,
Yeah.
directly to Victoria.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone on my dad's side, I'm going to get my dad to tell the story, but I think it was his uncle somehow made it out to Victoria. And then you know how it is. One person kind of comes,
Sponsorships.
assesses everything out, and then brings more people in, right?
That's how my mom ended up here.
Yeah. So, straight to Victoria for our family.
Okay.
Of course, we all landed in, I forget what the pier is in Halifax. Not my dad, though. He flew.
That's the way to immigrate.
Right?
Show up at the airport.
I know. My dad flew. My mom didn't. She, sailed across or on a ship in 7th floor down or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
They met here?
Yeah, my
Okay.
parents met here.
Yeah.
Yeah, my parents met here just downtown. My dad moved in next door to my mom.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good.
And my mom, they were a little bit more city. My dad was a little more farmy. And my mom was like not happy that the Hicks moved in next door. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the fucking Hicks
North
farmers.
versus the South.
Yeah. And she ended up marrying the old man.
Same thing with my grandparents. My Japanese grandfather was, common dude. Grandma was the daughter of a wealthy family in textile business from Tokyo. Their parents weren't happy about it either.
Right. See, the interesting thing back in Italy after the war, the farmers were the ones that had the money.
Mm-hmm.
The city folk didn't, because no one had money. Like my grandparents, my mom's side, they were carpenters, furniture builders and coffins and stuff. No one had money to buy that shit or pay for the goods. Half the time they'd build the stuff and never get paid.
Right.
But my dad's side, my dad had a horse. I mean, that's like owning a Ferrari today.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
My dad. People used to envy my dad because he had a horse. because people just didn't have that kind of stuff. You know, they had land, so they could grow food. They had a vineyard. They had olive trees.
Yeah.
You know, they could make stuff. People would buy that stuff. You know, they would always eat. They would never went hungry. My mom's side, they always went hungry.
Yeah.
Like fucking hungry after the Second World War in the south of Italy. Holy shit.
You had to buy everything.
They had to buy it all, and they had no cash. So they literally like were starving to death. Like they left Italy because they needed to eat.
That's when my mom left Germany.
Yeah, same thing.
The country was a disaster after the war, right? There was nothing.
I couldn't even imagine what the south of Italy or Germany looked like. It must have looked like what, you know, Afghanistan looks like today. Just a war zone smashed. I've seen photos. Just
like Dresden in Germany.
Oh
after
man,
the bombing. There was nothing left.
No, there's just you know, like a few structures, half standing, brick. You couldn't even go down the streets.
Yeah.
People that don't know, you could not walk down a street because of all the rubble.
Yeah, and people were still living in that because they had nowhere to go.
They had nowhere to. Oh fuck! What a fuck up. Yeah. And I can't believe we still go to war, eh? Mm-hmm. Like, haven't we learned our lessons? Like, we're still going to war. Like,
yeah,
it boggles my fucking mind, Scotty. I'll tell you, it boggles my mind.
Yeah, it's people's ideas and the way they think, and it's human nature is very destructive.
Oh,
yeah, and you can't avoid it.
I know. I feel like we'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah, when there's nobody left.
Possible.
The last guy sitting there.
Yeah.
You know, this was probably a bad idea.
Yeah, right? Like, fuck. Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful that we'll figure it out because the way we've been going is no fucking good. Yeah.
And it affects the entire planet.
Oh,
you know.
Yeah.
So it's pretty hard.
Yeah.
So the Axis family.
What's that?
Japanese dad.
German Axis?
Mom. Yeah, the Axis family.
Oh, Axis the Axis of evil?
Yeah. Almost like the Addams family, but not quite as crazy. Yeah. So, well, when I was a kid, we would always hear jokes like the Japanese, like we're considered.
Oh, Japan. Oh. Okay.
Yeah. Eurasian. That's my mix. That's exactly what I supposedly am. Right. There's an official name for it.
Yeah.
But Japanese.
Japanese.
Heard that quite a bit when I was a kid.
Fuck, that's pretty smart. I would have never thought of that. Who's a little prick that thought that up?
Yeah, it was my best friend. Yeah. So the same thing with a very similar story with my mom. There was of course no camp or anything like that.
Yeah.
After the war finished, well, I guess even back up before that, my grandfather was he was in the aircraft industry as well.
Oh, sweet.
His entire career, he was actually in the German Air Force before the war, and he was part of a team that was designing the prototypes for the.
That's your mom's dad.
My mom's dad. Infantry gliders. You heard about the German gliders that would fly in with 5 or 6 dudes in it, behind them in enemy lines in a glider.
No, I don't know this.
I got a photo here. I want to show you.
Okay, let's see it. I'll put these up. I'll photograph these photos.
So this is one of the prototype gliders.
Okay.
Right? And you see the insignia on the tail. Right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, the swastika. After about 1920, when Hitler started building up, because the Nazi Party's been around since 1920. That's when it first was conceived.
Yes.
And as soon as Hitler started gaining some power in Germany, that symbol was plastered on just about everything that you could plaster a symbol on.
Oh.
So it was on aircraft, it was on vehicles, it was on buildings, and it was around. It was a bit of a independent party back then. You know, they were very fanatical. Didn't have much swing in the country.
You would call them? Would you call them nationalists at that time? What would you call them?
I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah, they were just proud of their country
Absolutely. Well, they were choked that Germany got their butts handed to them first.
Yeah, they were. Oh yeah.
Especially Mr. Hitler. He did not take that well.
No.
And it was basically just a rebuilding. So even when my grandfather got married, he had an armband on it, and it had the symbol on the armband because he was part of the Air Force. And when you get married,
you just had to do it.
That's just one of the things, right? So I remember seeing those photos when I was young, and I'm going, Grandpa was a Nazi? She says, no,
Not
he was
exactly.
about as anti-Nazi as you could get,
Yeah.
right? But he was in the military.
Yeah.
So that was the thing.
Yeah.
You just have,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have to
yeah,
follow
yeah,
the rules,
yeah.
right? So after the war, everything has to deal with war. That's how we ended up here, is because of the war.
Yeah. Same with us.
Yeah. Everybody was starving. There's no
Yeah.
food.
Yeah.
And one of my grandpa's coworkers had already come over to Canada earlier. He was living in Winnipeg in St. Boniface at that time, which was right smack dab in the middle of Winnipeg. And it was a very, very much where immigrants lived. That's where they came. And he says,
Like the Germans, the German immigrants. Yeah, that was like a
there was
good
other as
community
well.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there were Italians there as well.
okay.
And basically he said, why don't you come to Canada? I'll sponsor you. Bring your family. So they packed up everything and they made their way to the coast and got on a boat, made the trip. Mom was saying it took, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks or something
It's
like that.
brutal.
It was, but she said the boat was nice. I asked her about it. Was it like what you see in movies and things like that? And she says no. It was quite a nice boat.
Okay. I'll
They
have to
were
ask my mom
comfortable?
about what the boat looked like. She was real young, but
Yeah.
my mom got seasick, so she was sick the whole
Oh,
fucking time across the
yeah, yeah.
Atlantic.
So they came over. They sailed through St. Lawrence Seaway. Ended up in Montreal.
Oh, okay.
That
They
was-
didn't land in Halifax.
No.
Okay.
No, Montreal was their landing spot. And when they got there, they immediately got on a train to Winnipeg.
Yep.
And this was the dead of winter when they came over.
Yep.
They weren't really prepared for
Oh, the
how
Canadian
cold
winter. Yeah.
Winnipeg
Yeah.
can be. Like Winnipeg can be brutal.
That's like Siberia.
Yeah.
It's as cold as Siberia.
So that was
The coldest place on Earth is not the North Pole. I think it's fucking Winnipeg.
yeah.
I mean,
probably.
really, right? Like,
Or Edmonton.
Or Edmonton.
Yeah.
Yeah. Churchill.
yeah. Yeah, I've never been to Winnipeg, but I've heard
No,
that you
it's-
can get pretty wild weather swings there over the year.
Oh, yeah. Minus 30, minus 40 degrees. Doesn't matter whether it's Fahrenheit or centigrade at that
And
temperature.
stinking
It's
hot in the summer.
stinking.
Yeah.
Mosquitoes as big as freaking hummingbirds.
Jeez. So yeah, they were there for between Montreal and Winnipeg. It was 4 days. That's how quickly they got moved.
Yeah.
And Grandpa had a job right away, as soon as he got there, because
Nice.
his buddy was working at CP Air, Canadian Pacific Airways,
Yeah.
which were around until, I don't know, the early 80s or late 70s, and they got amalgamated into everything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was working on commercial aircraft. And that's kind of where my interest has always been with my work. Everything I did through school was kind of working towards that, even when I didn't even realize I was working towards it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and we got another photo here. This is Grandpa here,
Oh, sweet.
working on in the belly of maybe a DC-10 or something like that.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm going to take
He-
a picture of that. I'll put it
yeah,
up
he
so
always
people can
joked
get a
that-
good look at that.
That this was his fine adjustment tool, and it was quite a large. It was like a
Massive.
number one screwdriver
Yeah,
or something like
massive
that.
slot screwdriver.
Yeah, but it's all tubes
Yeah.
and switches and relays.
Yeah.
You know. So, where was I? Yeah, came to Canada. They lived there for 4 years.
In Winnipeg.
Yeah, and Grandpa put in for a transfer because the CP Air headquarters were in Vancouver,
Mm.
and transfer was accepted, so they moved to Richmond, and that's where the two paths crossed
Oh, okay.
between my mom and my dad. And they met through, I think my mom's sister knew my dad's brother, and they all kind of got together and
Yeah.
just kind of hit it off.
The thing I find amazing about, and I would say every story is unique, but they're all so similar. Like, you got to think, you've got immigrants immigrating to Canada that don't speak the language, that have never left their own town, most of them.
Yeah.
Have never left their own little village in
Yeah.
Europe.
Yeah.
And now they're expected to go halfway around the world into a foreign land. Like my grandfather was here, and my grandma that doesn't speak a word of English came with her daughter, my mom, who was 9, and her son, who was like 2. And they went across the Atlantic, got on a train at Halifax, came all the way. They stopped in Montreal to visit family because we do have some family in Montreal.
Yeah.
Then from there, all the way across, got on another boat and came to the island. Like, how the hell? I swear, after my grandma got here, she couldn't find her way to the shopping mall from her home. Like, it was like a kilometer away. Yet she went across the goddamn planet.
Yeah. It's
Like,
it kind of blows your mind, eh?
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing. Can you imagine, like, you and I having to go somewhere, like, completely foreign to us, like India or Japan or
Yeah.
Russia,
Yeah.
and we're expected to immigrate to the middle of Russia right now?
Yeah.
It would be extremely challenging.
It would be. I guess the biggest burn that they had, burn meaning their need,
Desire, yeah.
desire was, if you didn't,
Yeah, you die.
you die.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised what you can do.
Yeah.
You know, but still, the amount of fortitude and you know, all my respect
It's
to
unbelievable.
people that are able to do that. If I was to put myself in that position, to be honest, I don't know if I could do it. To be honest,
Yeah.
I probably
You would,
But
but it
man.
would be tough. That's what my dad says about Italy. He says Italy's in such a shit right now because all the good ones left. All the tough ones, all the ones with like, all the ones with drive and motivation, they all got the fuck out of there.
He's right, man. He's right. Yeah,
You know,
they knew the boat was the ship
the
was
ship
sinking.
was sinking. They're out of here.
Yeah. Should I sit here and just wait for the No. I got things I want to do in this life, you know?
yeah.
So, yeah,
Get
it's
the hell out.
so impressive for sure.
Yeah.
So, with most of the Italian Canadians like that live here,
Yes.
are they all from basically the same region of Italy?
There's a few different regions, and I'm not definitely no expert on that. But I know we're from Calabria, which is the southernmost province, and there's a lot of Calabrese in Canada, a lot.
Yeah.
And then I think there was another region in the north maybe near Venice or something. Like, so there was a few regions that were really badly affected.
Yeah.
And that's where most of them came from. Yeah. Okay. I guess if you were a farmer in Tuscany and you just probably were okay enough. Yeah. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'd have to find out exactly where they come from. But I don't think it was all of Italy leaving. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think it was like it was regionalized, like where more people where it was harder hit. The South was harder hit, I think.
Yeah. And Canada was the place of choice?
No. Canada, Argentina.
Okay.
Lots in Argentina. Australia was another place they went. And I'm sure they went everywhere, but those seem to be because we have family in Canada, Argentina, and I think we've got some extended family in Australia. I don't know who they
It's
are.
a pretty healthy boat ride too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Argentina is not close. My mom's got cousins in Argentina. Yeah. They didn't do that well. Argentina was not a great choice. I mean, how the hell do you know?
Yeah.
Canada was a good choice. Australia was a good choice.
Yeah.
But Argentina wasn't great. Yeah.
Yeah, I think as far as Canada goes, living on here, the very west coast, mildest climate throughout the year, right?
This was just dumb luck for us, though. I don't think they
couldn't have been better luck.
Couldn't have been. It was because a lot of Italians are in Toronto, of course, Montreal, of course, Windsor, Ontario, massive Italian population, and not a lot of Italians out this far west. Yeah, there are some, of course, but not anywhere near the numbers.
Gotcha.
Yeah. What about the Japanese? Was it all of Japan leaving, or was it more regional?
It's hard for me to know.
But the Japanese were leaving before the wars, before the first and second.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the Italians were too.
Yeah.
There was a big influx of Italians into New York, say, prior to World War I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as the immigration, like the history of my family, it was a bit of a chore trying to find out basic information about where I come from.
Okay.
And when you use these like ancestry or these genealogical services, right, they do require some basic information that you need to input as far as grandfather, any relatives that you do know.
Okay, right.
But the issue is that anything before my grandfather, I have no information on.
Interesting.
And it's very difficult to find that type of info because a lot of the history is well, it's lost because when you left Japan, you know, I wouldn't use a word like traitor, but you know, you don't want anything to do with Japan anymore, so you're on your own, whatever it is. And I have no knowledge of my family tree past my grandparents on my dad's side.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you do what you can. You research online.
Yeah.
Miki is today more commonly a given name, a first name, rather than a surname.
Oh, okay.
And
does it mean something? Does it mean
three trees?
3 trees. Okay.
Yeah, and even the kanji that's used to write the name.
Yes.
The first symbol is 3 horizontal lines, 3,
okay.
and the bottom one definitely looks like a tree.
Interesting.
Or tree trunk.
Yes.
It also has the same kind of meaning for that. But no real information on that. There's a Miki castle that had to do with a town in the on the west coast of Japan, in the center of the country. Same last name, no relation, don't know.
Yeah.
Can't tell.
I guess if you ever travel to Japan, you may be able to find out some more info somehow?
Possibly, but in order for them to be able to trace anything, I need to give them some kind of information on the family line.
Right.
And they may be able to trace my grandfather's name and trace it from there, but he didn't have an uncommon first name either.
Right. Did they have nicknames there, or like in Italy, they all had like no one would know who my grandfather was by his name. They would all know him by like the family trade, or
okay.
You know.
I don't think so in Japan.
No?
I don't
Okay.
think so.
Okay, because that was a big thing in Italy, at least in the South. Like everyone was, you know, something. Generalato is one of the ones, and they were like chimney makers, like bricklayers, like.
Okay.
So you know, it's like, I'd be like, no one would know me as Luigi Soletta. They would know me as Luigi the cigar guy, or Luigi or cigar smoker, or cigar merchant, or something to do with what I do.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really weird. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess like names like English names like Cooper. That's where they all kind of
Fletcher.
came from.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, not too sure about that. Probably not. The family name is incredibly important in Japanese society. Your lineage.
Oh.
Yeah, how far back you go. Like Sasaki, as an example you were mentioning, it's a very old name.
Oh, okay.
Huge lineage of that. It probably even goes back to the Shogun times.
Okay.
Mishi is another very, very old family line name.
Okay.
Miki, man, there's not much out there. There was a fellow in the mid-'70s that was Prime Minister of Japan. His last name was Miki. Kind of looks like my dad with old photos of him.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Who knows?
Probably no relation. Because
those Japanese, they look the same anyway.
Well, the reason why is because he was probably in his 60s and 70s in the 1970s, so the family would have known him.
Right. They would have said,
because he was living at the same time that they were.
Right. So
he
they
was
would
about the same age as my grandfather.
Yeah. They would have definitely said that we're related.
Yeah, brother, cousin, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's an unfortunate thing, and as Dad's getting older and doesn't remember much, his oldest sister that still lives in Richmond.
Yes.
She knows information. She's not telling.
Why?
You don't want to know anything about them. You don't want to know anything about them. So I'm not going to be able to get any information from her either.
Oh, that's annoying.
So it's done.
Nobody knows. So what does she mean by them?
Japan, the people from Japan.
Like
family.
What's the rift?
I guess just the way they were treated after they left, even though she was born here too. You know, I really don't know why she's like that, but I have asked on trips that I've taken to Richmond to ask her about things like that, and there wasn't much information with that. one of the reasons, and I'll have to be careful how I tell this story because there's sensitive information in it, but it's still pretty funny. While I was thinking about, because this just happened in the past few months, about family history. So I went on to BC Archives because they've lived in Canada for quite a while.
Quite a while, yeah.
And the way that the BC Archives works is if you have had a death in the family or have a relative that had died within the past 20 or 25 years, or outside of 20 or 25 years, their death certificates are online for public viewing.
Like longer than 25 years ago?
Yeah, 25 years
or older. Okay.
So I typed in the name, did a little bit of research, and I found my grandfather's death certificate, my grandmother's. And the interesting thing, though, is that my dad's oldest, what he called his Uncle Fuji.
Last name was Fuji?
His first name was Fuji.
Okay.
Yeah. And so his name popped up there as well. And I said, oh, Fuji, I know Uncle Fuji, right? He was a real old guy when I was really young, right? So there's the mom and dad, there's grandpa's name. And I read grandma's, like the mother's name. That's not grandma. That's some other lady.
Oh, yeah?
And I'm like, the wheels start squeaking in my head going, Fuji is not my grandfather's brother. He's my grandfather's son.
What?
Yeah. So.
Your Uncle Fuji.
What my dad thought was his uncle. My dad thought that Fuji was his dad's brother. It was actually his half brother.
Oh.
So as it turned out, when we looked at the dates that went back,
Did your dad not know this until 2 months ago?
I don't even think he does. He's been in a care home for a while.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so he's not doing great now. So he doesn't know.
No. And my oldest, my aunt did. That's why she didn't really want to say anything, right? And of course, things like this happen in families, right?
Right.
He had gotten a girl pregnant when he was 17, my grandfather. And the outcome was Fuji. And so it's important information for me. That I know this because I was even able to find out through the death certificates medical history, which is important as well.
Sure.
I got to find out if there's anything chronic that's running through the family line on my dad's side. Right, it's important to know. And so it was one of those things like you read it and it's like, that's why my aunt doesn't like talking about family. One of the reasons,
because there's a scandal.
There's
in
it's
today's day and age,
yeah.
it's not a big deal.
But it was interesting. When I read it, it was like, okay, that's something a little bit more interesting than just your normal grandma and grandpa and the kids, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I found out. And death certificates they're a wealth of information, but it's all I have access to right now. So your
dad had a half-brother that he thought was his uncle. Because your grandpa had a son outside of marriage or before he got married.
He even could have been married. Don't know, but not at 17, I wouldn't think. That's pretty young, even in Japan, to be married.
Right.
Right. And, so...
Interesting,
because Uncle Fuji was quite a bit older than the rest of the siblings, which makes sense now.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So that line of the family, especially on the mother's side, like Fuji's mother, no information on her,
right?
Because they were both from Japan,
right?
And I could probably find access to that, but nothing as far as the Canadian records go. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's neat.
It's a little intrigue in the family.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was pretty cool. I remember, Uncle Fuji. I call him Uncle Fuji. He's a nice guy. He was a really nice guy. Yeah, died a number of years ago.
Lived here.
He actually lived in Midway, in that area
where
the camp was. No, they stayed there.
I was going to say, like a lot of people probably just stayed, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they just didn't bother. Christina Lake was another area where a lot of the immigrants went, or not the immigrants, the people in the camps.
In the camps.
Because they were like road crews, they were laborers.
Sure.
That was what the guys had to do.
Yeah.
I think my grandfather worked on a rail line.
Most of the Asians were building the rails, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That was not a good situation for them. It was important work that they were doing, but they weren't being treated properly. It was very dangerous work.
Yeah.
Interesting. Christina Lake's another beautiful area.
I've never been there.
Oh, yeah, I've been to the lake.
I've been to Greenwood, where my dad was, Tom.
Right.
And I was 12. I guess Dad waited till I was old enough to kind of get an idea of what happened, to appreciate. So we went there, looked around. Not much there. There's a museum there.
No, not much there.
The stack, the smelting stack, is still there. I don't know if it's still standing now. It was pretty old then. And there's a Catholic church up on the hill.
Okay.
That was the church for the community.
Right.
And there was a priest that lived and worked there. There were nuns there. And so Dad says, let's go up to the church. Let's knock on the door. I remember being in this building so many times. Let's have a look around. Right. So knocks on the door. And this old guy opens the door. So this was in 1982. Door swings open. Big white guy with glasses, big round guy. And standing there, and he says, Francis and Ingrid Miki. He was the guy that married my parents in Richmond. Just happened to be the priest living in the church.
Are you kidding
in
me,
Greenwood,
right?
By chance.
That's unbelievable.
Just by chance. And they're kind of looking at each other going, he says, come on in. Nice to see you. Nice to see you're still married.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Isn't that crazy?
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so we spent a couple hours there, and he gave my parents like a commemorative plate with the church on it. It says Greenwood, BC. They still have it. And he was like a pipe organ collector. Played the organ for us. Really nice guy.
Neato.
But it was the most bizarre coincidence.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
You know, because it's quite a drive to get out to Greenwood.
Oh, yeah.
And, we didn't tell anybody we were coming. We didn't even know anybody there.
Yeah.
And the guy opens the door, and it's just the priest that married my parents. That's crazy.
That is crazy. Yeah, that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been to Christina Lake. It's a really pretty lake. It's a really nice lake.
Yeah.
I think it's got like its own claim to fame. It's like the warmest tree-lined lake in British Columbia or something to that effect.
Really?
It's beautiful water.
Ah,
super clear water.
haven't been there. Yeah, so
Yeah,
I
it's
think
worth
I'd
going.
like to go.
You should do the trip. Drive out, wife and kid, and
Yeah, we did a lot of driving when I was young. Dad was into 4x4s,
oh yeah,
and he took us everywhere. Like some places that we should not have been in a truck. Like Mom was screaming, trucks like this.
Yeah.
My sister's loving the whole thing.
Yeah.
Do it again. I'm just dead quiet in the back. I didn't know what to think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we took a lot of trips through the interior. And we did, you had mentioned Big White earlier. We had spent a lot of time there when I was before I was 10.
Okay.
Because Dad, when we came to Victoria, what had happened was 83, 84 happened. The economy was a disaster.
Yeah.
Dad lost his business. He had a interior design and architectural business in Kelowna for years.
Oh, in Kelowna.
Yeah, that's where we grew up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we kind of missed that part. We could probably.
Oh, that's where my wife's from.
Yeah. So, I didn't know that. That's cool.
And my father-in-law
Holy cow.
is an architect in Kelowna.
Probably.
Well, he's here now,
Yeah.
but only 6 months has he been out of Kelowna.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after my parents got married in Richmond and had my sister and I was born in Richmond, when I was 1, they decided to move to Kelowna. Dad didn't want to teach anymore. He only taught for about 5 years. Didn't want to raise his kids in Vancouver.
Yeah. Big city.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
So we came to Kelowna and lived in, what's termed, I guess, West Kelowna now, Lakeview Heights. We lived there.
Yeah, the west side.
Yeah, for...
West Bank, we used to call it.
Yeah, so we're a little closer to the water or a little closer to the bridge than West Bank. We just actually lived right above the bridge. You go out the back and you could see down onto the bridge.
Yeah, you go over the new bridge now.
Yeah.
the Bennett Bridge or whatever they call it.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? It's Bennett Bridge.
Yeah, I think
now.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you kind of work your way up the hill.
Yeah. And as you work your way up the hill, we lived on the left side.
Oh, beauty spot.
Yeah, it's beautiful there.
Yeah.
Middle of nowhere. Our
It's
house
not in the middle of nowhere anymore.
No, like
There's wineries everywhere now. There's like buildings, there's restaurants, and
all the places where, like Mount Bushry Vineyards.
yes,
That whole area.
Mount Bushry burned a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I was there when it was on fire.
Oh man,
It was crazy.
that's where we used to ride dirt bikes because it
on
was
Bushry.
It was barren land. There was no vineyards there at the time. It was miles of just dirt. And it was the best place to ride dirt bikes. And it was very close to where we lived.
Oh yeah.
You know, Dad would just pile the bikes in the back of the truck and 5-minute drive
Yeah,
and we're
yeah,
there.
yeah.
So, we lived there all the way up until I was 14, so about 84.
Mm-hmm.
And Dad came home one day and he said, we got to move. He said, we lost the business. There's no money. We got to move. So, family meeting. Where do you want to live? So we're looking at each other and we're like, Victoria. We used to vacation here.
Oh,
when we lived in Kelowna. This was the place to come.
Sure.
It was awesome.
Sure, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
You fucking and when we vacation, we go to Kelowna.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Dad thought that was a great idea because he was on the coast, because he's a coast boy.
Right. Yeah. Loves
Fishing,
the ocean.
salmon fishing, enough of this little trout fishing stuff.
Yeah.
You know, even though he loved it.
Yeah.
Salmon fishing. And there was work here.
Okay.
So he came here. He got a job pretty much right away working for an interior design shop downtown.
You remember what they were called by chance?
Christina's.
Christina's.
It was right. It used to be right across the street from the Central Baptist Church on Pandora, Cormorant Street.
Yes.
Just up the street from the BC Health Building. It's
Yeah.
essentially right there. So that's where it was, and so he lived here for a year, by himself
Before you guys came
before we came because we had to sell the house.
out. Okay, right. And
Right.
that was not an
No,
easy task
no.
in that time.
But it took a year. They were able to sell it, and then we moved here. Our first day in Victoria was July 1st, 1984.
Sweet.
And you could hear these explosions at night.
Oh shit.
Fireworks.
Yeah, of course.
Fireworks they're foreign to people that live in Kelowna during the summer. You can't have them. They'll set the whole place on fire, right?
Right.
I had no experience with fireworks or firecrackers or anything like that. You know, never seen it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that a fact, eh?
So we could walk to the end of the road and it was quite a high
Is
hill.
fireworks, are they a big thing in Japan? Because it's more of a, or is it more of like a Chinese celebration thing?
Well, it's always been big with China because they were the originators of gunpowder.
Of gunpowder, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
As far as Japan goes, fireworks, more modern now.
More of a modern thing.
Not too much back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, fireworks, it was pretty cool. You know,
Yeah.
you could see it.
Yeah.
And spent
And
the summer.
where'd you guys move when you moved here?
Hillside and Cedar Hill. There's a Jewish cemetery there.
Yeah, I know the little cemetery. Is that a Jewish cemetery?
It is a Jewish cemetery.
Oh, okay.
And
That's a cute little cemetery.
It is.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
And the house was just on the other side of the fence.
Oh God, it's only a few minutes from here. Is there a church near there?
Yeah. Right on the corner.
Yeah, we used to go to that church from time to time.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
still
sure
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people every Sunday. It's a very
Yeah.
busy place. It's a great little
Yeah,
church.
nice little spot. That's only,
Yeah.
geez, that's only like 5 minutes from here.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's where we moved. Spent the summer, my sister and I, essentially on our own because it was school break. Didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
Started school at Lansdowne.
Oh yeah.
She was in grade 10. I was in grade 9. And
I never met your sister. I don't think.
I don't think
She live in Victoria still?
No, she's lived in the States for 25 years.
Oh,
30
okay.
years.
Where is she?
Right now, I don't know where she is right now. They travel a lot. They have a mobile business
Oh.
that they have a decal.
Decal?
We always make jokes about that. She goes, no, it's decal.
I say decal.
Business, huge trailer, gigantic motorhome. Like,
And they go and do like cars and stuff and.
yep, they go to fairs, racetracks.
Oh,
Americans love their stickers.
Yes, they do.
They do.
Love it.
They spend a lot of money on
yeah.
stickers.
Yeah.
And they've got a
I
system.
love stickers too, man.
Yeah?
I got my toolbox all stickered up.
Yeah.
It's totally awesome, man.
But the way they do it is they have a quite a large plotter cutter in the back.
Oh,
rolls,
wow.
rolls of high grade vinyl
Yeah.
stickers. So they basically, you can either choose what you see on the wall, or they'll make you whatever you want.
Wow.
You know, as long as you have some kind of an image or a photo or something that can be scanned, they can make an image for you. So
they're probably doing terrible right now because
It's been
everything's
tough.
been shut down.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's been tough for sure. Summer is usually their big
yeah.
business time.
Yeah.
But they were based and living in Havasu City, Lake Havasu.
Lake
for
Havasu
quite a while.
that's Nevada.
Arizona.
Right, Arizona.
And so they spend a lot of time
I've
there.
heard Lake Havasu's a pretty awesome place.
From the photos I've seen, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially during the summertime.
Yeah,
You can get
big parties
pretty
on the
wild
lake.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lake Havasu's part of the Colorado, is it not?
I'll say yes. That makes sense because
It makes sense, right?
It's big, yeah.
Yeah.
The lake is quite large.
It's created by a dam like Powell.
It's an
and-
artificial lake as far as I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
And
pretty
you can
cool.
houseboat there, I think. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Powerboat, speedboat, houseboat, anything that floats. Anything that floats that you can sit on and hold a drink.
It's
there.
you're doing it. Yeah. Talk about awesome, right? Like you got this big, beautiful, blue, crystal clear lake. I mean, I've been to Lake Powell and Lake Mead and never there, but you've got these beautiful lakes and all this beautiful red rock surrounding them.
Yeah.
And it's 100 degrees out.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, I don't know if it gets much better than that, right? Like, we're
Yeah.
normally freaking freezing our asses off going in the lakes up here. But
Exactly. Yeah, it's pretty nice.
yeah.
And before I lose my train of thought,
Sure.
we're talking about Big White.
Yes.
My dad designed a lot of the buildings and the condos and chalets that are there.
Oh.
That was one of his big projects that lasted for years. A Bigfoot Lodge, that's one of
Okay.
his. And so he was involved in the design and the interiors of those places.
Oh, nice community.
It
Big
is.
White, yeah.
And that
Nice.
was one of
Good hill.
the best benefits of living in Kelowna, like where we were in Lakeview Heights.
Well, there was a ski hill
Yes.
right where you are.
Pretty much.
It's gone now, I think.
Yeah,
It's closed now.
Then it was called Last Mountain. Then it was purchased and it was called Crystal Mountain.
Crystal. My wife skied Crystal.
Yeah, we
Many
did too.
times.
That's where I learned to ski. We would have dinner. That's how close it was. You'd have dinner. My parents would put us in our pajamas, pull our snowsuits over it, take us skiing for the night.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
And then you
and-
fall asleep in the car ride home.
Yeah, and all they do is they just yank the snowsuit off and toss us in the bed and give us a bath in the morning.
That's awesome.
Yeah, night skiing. If anybody hasn't done that,
I
and
have
they
not.
ski,
It's special, eh?
Oh my gosh, it's a whole different world. It's the coolest thing,
Yeah.
because it's quiet.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe not so much now. It's probably a zoo now.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then-
well, that mountain's they've closed that down
Yeah.
long time ago. I never got to ski that mountain.
Yeah, because my dad has photos of him getting us ready next to the car, parked in the parking lot, and we always joke, "Oh, Dad got his favorite spot." There was like maybe 4 cars in the parking lot,
Oh my gosh.
and night skiing there. You're going down the hill. You look around. You are the only person that you can see.
Really?
Yeah, that's how quiet it was. So when I did eventually try skiing again when I was here, I went to Washington with.
And you had to
with
wait
a
20
girl I
minutes to
used
get on
date.
the.
It was a zoo.
I know,
Like, what are
right?
these people? Like it would
What
take
the-
you as soon as you get to the bottom of the run and get in line. It would be another 20 minutes before
you
get
got
back
on the
chair again.
on the lift, yeah.
And at Last Mountain, you do the circle. You didn't even stop. You were always moving.
Beautiful.
You could get 20, 30 runs in, and on the small hills.
It's a
of
small
course.
hill, yeah. I
But,
mean, compared to Washington, that's a really small hill.
Yeah, but it was a nice, smooth, flowing,
It was
place
good,
to
eh?
ski. It was great for kids to learn how to ski. Plus the fact, they couldn't hit anybody. No one could hit them because
Yeah, there's no one there.
yeah.
That's sweet. Funny, hey? That's
Mm-hmm.
cool. That's cool. Yeah, Kelowna's changed a lot.
Mhm.
That whole west side's changed a lot.
Yeah, I was there 4 years ago. Was my last trip there when we had the fires, the forest fires,
Yes.
and had a great time.
Yeah.
Right downtown, in Harvey and in that area.
Harvey, Bernard,
Yeah,
City
water-
Park.
Yeah,
City Park's right
very
there.
different.
Yeah.
Because they had all the flooding then too, right? All the water was
Yes.
right up on the beaches.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. So City Park is downtown, and then Lakeshore.
Yeah.
Is it called Pandosy there or Lakeshore there?
Pandosy is further out when you
so
go
they're
on.
just on Pandosy, where they right across from the El Dorado Hotel.
Okay.
If you know where that is.
Yeah.
Great spot. Because you could walk across the street. El Dorado's there. The boardwalk's there. Go to the hotel for a drink or something to eat, and still a bike ride right into town. Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
It's a nice little town.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice in the summer. In the winter, it's not so nice though.
No.
It's cold. It's very quiet. Like if you went there summer and then winter and didn't know better, you'd be like, "Oh, what the hell's going on?"
Yeah.
Did everyone like?
Completely different.
Yeah.
Between the two.
Was there like a spaceship that took everyone away? We're all the
Yeah.
people. Like,
Yeah.
first time I went there in the winter on Lakeshore, I was on Lakeshore. I was like, "Is there like something going on? Is the road closed? There's no cars. Like, what's going on?" But it was just quiet because there weren't any Albertans there.
Yes, that was the
They love to do it. They love to be there.
So I'm making a mess here. That's
Oh
okay.
God, don't worry about it. This is what we do.
Well, winters were, other than the skiing, it was a blast for us as a kid because Dad liked his trucks,
Yeah.
and sometimes he would even toss a tow rope in the back and just go out looking for
Sure.
someone that needed help. Eh?
Oh really?
Oh, yeah.
Just get out there.
Just to get out there, and so it was. My childhood was really great.
Active. It sounds like fun. Active out there.
Always outside. Dirt bikes, skiing. Dad had a boat, a power boat.
Oh.
And it was great.
So he was doing well.
He made a lot of money when he lived in Kelowna.
Yeah.
And then the 80s rolled around and it was horrible. There was a point where Mom had trouble getting decent food.
Yeah.
To feed us.
Yeah. My father-in-law talks about the 80s in Kelowna, and it was pretty
bad.
lean, man.
Yeah.
Pretty lean. They didn't leave, but
Yeah.
I think he tells me his T4 was like $10,000 or something in like 84, 85. Like just no money,
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know, what my parents got for the house.
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
No. Probably 100 and something. In 84, be surprised if they got much more than $100,000 for it back in those days. Yeah, it was just
much.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was great. I probably wouldn't have wanted to have grown up anywhere else.
Yeah.
It was a blast from start to finish. So, yeah, that was good. Especially the places that you could just go for hikes or walks or just drive for 10 minutes and you're in the middle of nowhere. That was probably one of the best things. Spending a lot of time on logging roads, checking out different lakes, a lot of fishing.
Yeah, a lot of trout fishing there, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not, it's funny, even though it's a lot busier now, it doesn't take long to get into the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Out there. It's big. A lot of land.
Yeah. Very concentrated pockets of people.
Yeah.
But because of how dry it is, it's a semi-arid desert climate, right?
Yep.
Like every year in the province, you hit places like Oliver and Osoyoos, and they're breaking record temperatures every year.
Every year.
Like 40 degrees plus sometimes.
Yeah. That's warm.
That's hot.
Yeah.
Here it goes over 30 and people start freaking out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. That's good. I didn't know you grew up there. That's kind of neat. Interesting. You left there pretty young. What school did my wife went to? KLO. She graduated from KLO, I think.
That was, I went to Mount Bushry High School.
Uh-huh.
Because it was right close to where we lived. I was only there for a year. They were grade 8 to 12 then.
Right.
And I attended grade 8 there. And left after that year was finished. And I still keep in touch with one or two of my friends from Kelowna.
Yeah.
Not too much. I haven't been back very many times. It's a nice place. Love going there.
Yeah.
I went back there, like I said, about 3-4 years ago with my wife and my son.
Yeah.
And checked out the old stomping grounds, showed her where, my elementary school was.
Is your house still there?
The house is still there.
Yeah.
It was kind of heartbreaking to see it. It's not in very good condition.
Oh.
The people that live there, it almost looks like they're just renting and they don't give a crap. I don't really know.
Yeah,
I'm not going to bang on the door and say, well, what's your
Hey.
financial situation? But yeah.
Why'd you let my old house run down so much, you bastard?
The yard and the house look like crap.
Funny.
And
Is the neighborhood still okay?
The neighborhood is busy. We used to be surrounded by orchards.
Right.
It's all houses now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's nothing left.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, we could go down. I take my dirt bike from the top of the lawn in the front yard, go down the side, shoot across the path up into the orchard, ride for, forever.
Oh, that's great, man.
And now, if I did that, I'd be smack dab in somebody's house.
Right.
It's the whole orchard was gutted, and it's just shoulder to shoulder houses, a little bit of front yard, no side yards.
Wow.
It's tight.
Crazy.
Pretty desirable place to live.
Yeah, no kidding.
So yeah, they filled it up pretty quick.
Yeah, well, that's good you had that kind of experience growing up.
Yeah.
Just being able to dirt bike right out of your backyard. I mean, not many people get to do that.
No. You could even ride from, of course, weren't supposed to, but you could ride from the house through the streets up into Mount Bushry, around there.
Yeah.
Like the winery, where the winery is now.
Yes.
That was the end point of the run that we used to do in gym class from Mount Bushry. You'd run from the high school to the winery and back, and it would take about 35 minutes.
Okay.
We call that the winery run.
Was the winery there then?
Yep.
Oh, it was that. Oh, okay.
Yep. It was not functioning. The building was there, but it wasn't active as a winery at that point.
Okay. Yeah, the wine industry did go through a cycle, a kind of a cycle there.
Yeah.
Yeah, where wine was not the thing in the 80s.
Right. But the building was always there. I don't think they got rid of the equipment, but they would have updated it when they restarted it.
Yes.
But all through the area below it was just dirt.
Right. Were there vineyards there?
No, only on the other side of the road towards the lake.
Right.
There were vineyards there.
They pulled most of those up anyway and
Yeah.
replanted with more desirable grapes. They pulled out all the kind of like what you call native species of grape and started planting, Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc or whatever the hell they planted.
It is.
Yeah.
Is Mount Bushry wine? Is it decent wine?
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Okay.
Yeah, they're definitely a thing.
Yeah.
They're definitely a pretty good winery, well established. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not huge into BC wines, but they're good.
Yeah. There's a couple that I like.
Yeah. Well, we've got quite a vibrant wine industry in British Columbia now, even on the island here, and we're making some good wines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You have to pay for good BC wines, though. They're not cheap.
Yeah.
Like you can get a $10 or $12 bottle of California wine. It's pretty palatable. A $10 bottle of BC wine, I don't even know if it exists.
Yeah.
You got to get up in the $20 range.
I had visited the Church and State out by Bouchard Gardens with my wife. This was a number of years ago now. On a limo tour. We had won a limo tour through a Valentine's Day giveaway.
Yeah.
She wins everything. So we went there. They had it was a red wine. It was called the 2011 Quintessential or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That was, I guess 2011 was a good year for BC wines.
Right.
And so this was about maybe 2013 or 2014 that we tried it, and it was amazing, but it was like $60 a bottle.
Yeah.
But it was incredible.
So that's an interesting winery. That's not a very well thought out winery. It's a beautiful property.
Yeah.
But their vineyards, if you look at them, they actually slope slightly to the north. That's bad. You want them sloping to the south so that you could get the extra heat. But now Church and State owns, I think they own a vineyard in the Osoyoos area.
Okay.
And that's where they're getting the grapes.
That's
how they're making the good wine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think. I mean, I was up there in September once, and the berries on the plants were still green. I mean, there's not much growing season left after September on the island here.
They were doing ice wines there. I think that was the only thing they were using.
Not at Church and State. No, not at least not in Victoria, because we don't get the cold.
Right.
The berries need to be frozen to make an ice wine. Ice wines come from like Kelowna, Osoyoos, those areas, Summerhill. Yeah. I don't think we could not make an ice wine. I mean, I guess you could if something happened, but the berries have to be on the plant and they have to be frozen solid.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen on the island.
Yeah.
It rarely freezes solid here at all.
Yeah.
Let alone the berry still being on the plant.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Tell me about your dad and when he moved here to BC. He was a fisherman.
Yep.
And where did he fish? Fraser?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, Fraser River, and because Steveston is right on the basically the delta.
Yes.
Right on the lower arm. That's what they did, and the whole family was involved in it. My aunts worked in the cannery, and all the boys fished. My younger uncle Ken, he was the only one that didn't really stick with the work. He was the second one to go to university, and he went to medical school.
Okay.
Became a doctor. So he's
wow,
first doctor in the family.
Jeez,
which is kind of neat.
that's something.
And he's retired now. Lives up.
Was he a GP, a special GP? Yeah.
Yep. Had his practice in New West. All that time, and he's retired now. He lives up in Courtney, near just past Comox.
Yeah, Courtney Comox is like, wow.
Right on the water. Beautiful
nice
little cottage.
It's cute up there.
Yeah, he also has his main place he lives is still in Vancouver, but the one up here is his cottage, which is a house. You know.
Yeah.
But he did fish when he was younger,
Mm-hmm.
but as things changed over time. It was the first generation, I guess, that kind of split from fishing to do other things.
Right.
And now none of the kids fish, so it ended there.
Oh, okay.
Right. So I have an uncle that's a marine insurance. He's still involved in the fishing industry, but he sells marine insurance in Steveston.
Right.
He doesn't anymore. So uncle's a doctor. My dad became a teacher, architect, interior design.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was basically where that lineage of work stopped.
Yeah, but he was an architect, interior design and whatnot, but then went back to fishing.
No, he had given up fishing in order to do in the late 60s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in order to go to school, have a family, and he never went. He never went back to commercial.
Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah.
But most of his friends.
And then back when you guys came to Victoria, what did he do here?
Interior design.
It's still in that same field.
Yeah, he worked for Christina's. He worked for Jordan's for a short time.
Okay.
And did a lot of his own business. He had a private business in Oak Bay called
in Oak Bay.
Yeah, Frank Miki and Associates.
Japanese dude. Business in Oak Bay.
You betcha.
There you go. Stick it to him.
You bet. And he did a lot of big places. So he was pretty well known in Victoria for especially high-end houses. Like people would spend $300,000-$400,000 on a kitchen. Like
oh my god,
really high-end. And a lot of times I would go with him to these places.
Yeah.
When
that's all. Like, was he designing like all those waterfront sort of mansions in the uplands in Oak Bay and like in that sort of
more a lot of his work was like in Cordova Bay. There is an area or a unit called Seascape. It's a bunch of, if you were to go from Blenkinsop and Royal Oak and then go down more towards Cordova Bay.
Yes.
Just on the water side there's a big group of condos called Seascape.
Okay.
And they are like the ones that are overlooking the water. Their front end of their places are on 40-foot pilings, like it's right looking over the ocean, right?
Yeah, it's nice there.
Yeah, and
that's some beautiful ocean there because you got islands and the beautiful sand, and it's really pretty there.
So I got to see some of these places, and that's when I really had my first experience, well, as far as Victoria goes, of what wealthy people spent on their homes.
Yeah.
And like we've seen places where you go into their front entry and it's got the double curved stairways with the statues, and it's like the guy and his wife lives there. They got no kids.
Who would want that though? The statue part.
Oh, it's very classy. People come over. Oh, look at that.
It's like, how come? Like, you know what? I don't care how much money I have. I'm not gonna have gold fixtures in my house because they look tacky. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm not into it.
Yeah, people are funny, especially a lot of these folks that I had met that my dad was doing work for. Yeah, they're a little strange. They're a little strange. Very nice people, of course.
Yeah.
But some of them are just
the style.
Oh.
I don't get it. It's like, what's with all the gold?
Yeah.
gold accents. Come on.
yeah.
I never in my million years.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And a lot of the choices were like they would ask my dad, what about leather furniture, like nice leather furniture? And he goes, well, we've got some stuff with imported leathers from Italy, and hardwood frames, heavier than anything you can imagine, like really well
like
built,
stickly type arts and crafts, like looking. I love that stuff, man.
Yeah.
But only if it works in where you're putting it. But
exactly.
Yeah.
And the people would go, okay, is it expensive? He says, very nice.
Really?
Yeah, like which is fine.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got the cash,
if
and
you
what
got the
the hell?
cash, and it's good for business. If you can cater to people like that, and they're willing to spend the money, it's a good business to be in.
Yeah.
But just the numbers are crazy. We would talk about it sometimes that people would spend $50,000, $75,000 on blinds for their house.
Jesus.
And it's like, really? Well, yeah, they look great.
I probably have 20 grand worth of furniture in my entire home.
No, it's pretty crazy. But that's that side of that part of the life of his business, right?
Yeah. So he did well when he was here.
He did well when he was here, and then he had a lot of health issues, especially with his spine, arthritis.
Oh, okay.
And that eventually caused him to have to stop working.
Okay.
And that was tough. Even now, he's barely able to walk.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
How old is he?
He is 80. Turned 80 this year.
And when did his that arthritis start to
When he
become?
was like 30.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And a lot of it was aggravated by the type of work that he did when he was really young.
Oh, okay.
Because back then, with fishing, gillnet fishing, some boats had drums and some didn't, and you'd have to pull them in by hand.
He didn't have a drum?
Not on his first boat, no.
Oh, shit.
So you'd grab onto the net, you'd put your feet up against the side of the boat, and you'd pull it in.
Yeah.
So
Well, that'll kill you.
yeah.
Yeah, that'll wear you right out.
So that
He must have been strong as fuck, though.
he's always been, the entire time I've known him, between 125, 135 pounds.
What?
Yeah, and like he
Just
looked
sinewy. Like Bruce Lee. Yeah.
Yeah, always. Even now, he's still, he's a bit lighter now because he's quite old. But
Sure.
always the same all the way through. And you do as many chin-ups as he wanted, whenever he wanted.
Yeah, no
he's
kidding.
always in good shape.
Yeah.
But one of the conditions, it's what's called spinal stenosis. The canal that the spinal cord passes through.
Yes.
It starts to narrow, and it's typically caused by repetitive stress. It's not something that's typically hereditary.
Oh, so like it was from his work.
That's what a lot of people think. I even asked my chiropractor about it. Like last time I was there, I said, "Do I have any indications of this condition?" And he says, "Well, it's not something that's usually passed down through a family. It's usually the effect of
labor
or repetitive stress." And that answered a lot of questions for me.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
that's good to know
Yeah,
for you.
exactly. Because
You don't do any heavy work.
Thanks, man. No. Yeah, I wave my pen around. You guys better smarten up, or I'm gonna come and write you up.
I know, exactly. This clipboard right here.
I'll smite you with the royal clipboard.
Oh, smiter.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, no, I was pretty happy about that, because ever since I was very, very small, Dad was in treatment for something.
Oh, gosh.
For his back or his neck or whatever it might have been.
Yeah.
And whenever I get a sore back or sore neck,
You were always like, oh, shit.
here it comes.
Yeah.
But no, my car says, well, you're getting on in years now there, Mr. Miki, and you don't have any indications of these. So he says, if you're going to get it, you would have had it by now.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, that's good.
yeah, thankfully no arthritis anywhere.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
Nice. I hold a clipboard at work, and I hold it like this. I tell you, sometimes his thumb is just like on fire. It's like I'm getting fucking clipboard arthritis.
Oh, you're a rookie.
I had to change my fucking grip on the clipboard. What a pussy.
Yeah, the clipboard is an important tool for sure.
Yeah. I got someone else to hold the clipboard now.
I wish I could have an assistant. I've asked for one for a number of years now. No, you're doing fine on your own, Scott. Well, do I need to start screwing up? Then you get me somebody to help? It's a fine-edged sword there. So you've been doing fine until now.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
fine. But I could do great.
We could
just
do
think
so much for
so
the
much
company.
more.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, that's really cool. Your mom passed away?
No, she's still here.
She is? Okay.
Yeah, she still lives on her own in the house that we moved into when we arrived.
Oh, okay.
Just saw her the other day.
Nice.
And yeah, she's got all her marbles still, which is great, and she's doing all right.
Cool.
It's of course lonely for her without Dad being home.
Without Dad being home, yeah.
But he's just down the road.
Yeah.
It's been tough to see him though. I haven't seen him in person since this past March.
Oh yeah, right? Yeah. The
so
fucking pandemic, yeah.
Yeah, but I've been trying to arrange.
So have you guys just been talking on the phone, or?
Yeah, FaceTime.
Yeah.
Mom is able to. She's able to arrange visits to see him in person, across a table in a room at distance. Everybody's masked
up. Yeah.
In order to be able to see him and talk to him.
Yeah, that's got to be the hardest thing.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Because he's been in that place for about almost a year and a half.
Oh yeah.
And
how? Oh, yeah. And 6 months of it, he hasn't been able to be in contact with anyone. That's tough. Yeah, it's a shame, this pandemic for the elderly or the people that aren't don't have a lot of time left. I mean, your dad, I don't know how he's doing health wise. He might live another 10 years. Who knows? But some people are on their last 6 months of life, and they haven't been able to enjoy their families for those last time. That is tough, man.
It's been hard.
That's hard.
Even for everybody else, like you and I, their families, we're doing all right.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact that it affects everybody on a deeper level that they're able to manage, right? Even for me, right?
100%.
It gets to you sometimes.
It does. I've been gritting my jaw and my teeth so hard these last few months that I wake up with a sore face.
Yeah.
It
affects you on a subconscious level.
It does. Even though we're doing really well and business is good and family's good and everyone's healthy and mom and dad are good and my in-laws are good but it affects you because Thanksgiving's around the corner and we were talking about getting together and I was like, nope, we're not. Like, I'm just like, we just can't do it.
Yeah.
It would be too many people, too close to quarters, and my sister and brother-in-law want to come over. Yeah. And I'm like, not a good idea. No, just not a good idea.
Because for everybody, there's so much at stake. If someone gets sick, it puts out its tendrils and it affects everybody around you. Like if my son, as an example, I was really nervous about him going back to school.
Sure.
And being the worst case scenario type of guy I am, right? He comes home. And let's say that we find out that he's tested positive. So it affects that classroom, which affects the school. Mm-hmm. We'd be the first school in Victoria with a confirmed case as far as I know.
Yeah.
I'm not able to go to work.
Yeah.
Right? My wife's not able to go to work.
Yeah.
I can't see my mom.
Yeah.
I have to be concerned, of course, if he's tested positive, that have I exposed my mom to anything and I'm carrying something that I don't know.
Yeah.
So we all have to get tested.
Yeah.
So that one incident, of course, is just going to everything around you, everybody that you know.
I know.
Right?
That's 100%. Just like me with if one of my staff gets sick, can I still be in business? Yeah. Can I stay open? How does it work?
Exactly.
I guess
one of the only reasons why, I agreed to come here is I had to be sure that everybody in my family was healthy.
Right.
Because if I find out, say 2 days from now, that I'm positive,
I'm being tested.
And that affects your kids,
affects
your
everybody,
wife, everybody you work with.
Yeah. I know. We're not really far enough apart either. We're only 3 feet apart.
This is true. Yeah. So I had to be, and of course you can never be sure. You can never be sure, even if you've been tested the day before and it came back negative.
I know.
What if I got exposed on the way back from the test?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? You just don't know. So
I've been thinking about getting a piece of plexiglass that can go in between us so we could still I can keep doing these podcasts,
Yeah.
Yeah. It is tricky. I think about that every time I have a guest, you know? I mean, as far as walking through the house, I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
Because we're just, you know, it's not like we're not touching stuff and, you know, really that. But yeah, if one of us was affected right now, we're probably getting the other one sick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the mic is catching a lot of the spit, but just don't lick it.
Yeah, I don't know who's been licking this mic. So I'm sure you don't give a fresh one for every person.
No, I don't. I wipe shit down, but that's about it.
That's awesome. I've realized when I was thinking about this podcast before we started.
Yeah,
we've known each other for about 27 or 28 years.
A long time.
Yeah.
We had what did we have? Christmas Eve dinner together.
We did.
Yeah.
We had a Christmas dinner together. I remember that.
Yeah.
Seems like forever ago. David was 12 or 13, or he was just a kid.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I still remember the first time I met you, and I've told you the story before. Came over to the house on Teakwood, I guess is where you guys were.
Okay, at my mom's house.
Yeah.
Mom and dad's, yeah.
And I walk up the driveway, and there was an Anglia on a mattress on its side.
Oh, that's mine.
Yeah.
I still have that.
And I'm looking
doesn't
at
look
it,
much better.
Somebody rolled a car into a mattress in the middle of the driveway.
Yeah,
And
because I was power washing and sanding the bottom of it.
It's perfectly sane idea. But that's the first thing that stuck up in my mind. That and the Pantera that Diego had under a cover.
Under a cover in the driveway,
the house, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd never seen one of those before either.
Yes, the De Tomaso.
Yeah, that was cool. Was it black?
It's black.
Yeah.
It's still black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a cool car.
Yeah, that's a first year De Tomaso, which is pretty rare. It's like number 50 off the line. Yeah. It's a pretty valuable car now.
Absolutely.
The Anglia is not worth much more than it was when I bought it.
Well, it's got a little bit more recognition after the Harry Potter movies.
I know.
Right?
You know what? I hate that. I fucking hate that.
The Beasley Mobile.
I know. It's like, and of course, I follow the hashtag Anglia and Anglia 105 and stuff on Instagram, and it's always Harry Potter shit. And I'm just like, stop with the Harry Potter already.
Was it any idea it was a similar year to what you had?
It's exactly the same car.
Oh,
the
my
Harry
God.
Potter car is exactly the same car as mine.
That's
now,
so
I don't know
awesome.
the year they made that. The 105E is what I've got. And there were 3 models, just different just different chrome packages, basically, right? Engine size was slightly different. But it's exactly the same car. Mm. They only made it for like 5 years. I think it was 62 to 67, that body style. And yeah, that's the one I've got, the Harry Potter one. It's in the driveway right now under a cover.
I gotta check that out after.
Yeah.
Be reunited.
Yeah,
after
I
all
will
this time.
really want to get working on that car. It's just been bugging me so much.
You don't see them around.
No, I haven't seen an Anglia running around on the streets in Victoria in years.
Yeah. So that Pantera, did it have the Cleveland engine, like the original?
Yes, his was a European spec 351 Cleveland.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, not a ton of horsepower by today's standards, but you know that car's a 72, I think, and it'll do 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds. So it's a goer.
Yeah,
it's a goer.
So 351 in liters is what, a 6 liter, or what does that convert to?
I guess so.
Yeah, about
6 liters.
Big engine.
Because a 302 is the 5 liter. Mm-hmm. So a 351 is going to be 6.5 liters, I guess.
Wow.
It's a big motor.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
I think it'd be fuel efficient.
Yeah. Probably about 10 miles to gallon or something like that.
For a car like that.
Yeah. I mean, you're only driving a car like that 1,000 clicks a year, if that.
Exactly.
If that. So.
Yeah. I watched a recent episode of Jay Leno's Garage. And
yes.
he was showing one of the one that he has.
The Pantera.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was thinking, I've seen a car just like that. I know somebody that has one just like that.
Yeah. Yeah. There's not many of those around either.
Yeah, pretty rare.
Yeah, pretty rare car.
Because when I first saw it, I thought it was a Ferrari or a Lamborghini.
Sure.
I didn't know anything about
no.
Panteras, and but it was pretty cool car. But you guys have always been into cars, eh?
Yeah.
Was what was going on at the Bird before? You guys had
That's right. That was my uncle's business.
There?
It was his speed shop. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was called Speed Line.
And that was under where the pub is? Was that the garage area?
So this is the funny thing. So you remember where my cigar store used to be downstairs?
Yeah.
So where my counter was where the parts counter was.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. and you would just do the work out in front.
So it was an old house, right?
Yeah.
So the old downstairs cigar store, that was like the parts counter and the parts area. And then off to the side, which wasn't there, was a big huge kind of like a garage, like lean-to, not a lean-to, but just added onto the house.
Yeah.
And of course, when the pub and everything they took that all down. So that there was like a bay with a hoist, work area behind, so you could have 2 cars back, and then a mezzanine upstairs, which was all storage and stuff.
Okay.
And then a couple little lean-to areas, where one was we called the machine shop, which was just like where the drill press and the saws and stuff were. Yeah. It was all just mishmash of things stuck onto this old farmhouse, 1914 farmhouse, and it's the original structure is still the original farmhouse. Yeah, that was neat. I did the demolition on that building, like, ripping off all the plaster and lath and kind of, they had taken all those houses back then. They all had 9-foot ceilings and they dropped them down to 7 foot. So I ripped all that down. You can see the old wallpaper up there, the old crown moldings and stuff like. Yeah,
so they just covered it over. Right?
They just covered it over.
Why take it all out?
Yeah, why take it out? Just more work. Yeah, just put a drop ceiling in there and put some insulation in, and here I am. I'm ripping down like I guess that the ceiling was drywall.
Okay.
But, I'm ripping it down, and there's vermiculite pouring them, and old insulation pouring them. No mask, no goggles, no nothing. Just ripping all this old, God, what was there? Asbestos in there? Who the hell knows?
Pretty
probably,
much.
Right?
That was pretty common back then.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, when I was in my early 20s, I worked with my dad doing renovations on houses that he did. And a lot of them were working on in Oak Bay. A lot of the houses, they had the houses raised to put in a full 8-foot ceiling downstairs. A lot of them were 5-6 feet.
Yeah,
right?
They're still doing that.
Yeah. So remember doing renovations on houses 20s and 30s. And the interesting things that you would find in the walls, like they used to use newspapers as around the windowsills.
Yes.
Right? And you could pull them out, and if you were careful enough, you could open them up and read what was in there. We found postcards, cigarette cards with soldiers on them.
Sweet.
Yeah, found a bunch of those.
Yeah,
Still
I've got a pack of Riesel rolling papers that I found inside the wall of the building when I was tearing off Riesel rolling papers and a couple of old beer bottles.
Yeah.
From, I think I've still got them. I think it was the Victoria Brewing Company.
Very cool.
Yeah.
How old do you think they were?
Well, the place was built in 1914, so I'm thinking something like that.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, kind of neat.
Things like that. I think that was one of the most fun part about that job was
discovering something in the
history.
wall.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And of course, seeing it when it was done was pretty cool.
Yeah. See, taking apart an old house and going through all the layers is neat. Yeah. It's very neat. Like you can see the kind of like the history of the building as you.
Yeah. Or even like you mentioned with the technology back then. Sometimes you'd pull off a wall and you'd find these ceramic posts, insulator posts, and just nailed into the stud.
Yep.
With an old fabric wire around it.
Yeah.
And all that was just covered up.
What do they call it? They call that post. Yeah, I'm
not sure what they would call that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And we had that in the old pub building. Yeah, took out the porcelains and yeah.
The thick wire, really high quality stuff, but of course not to coat anymore by a long shot, especially with the old crusty fabric that covered everything.
Yeah.
Total fire hazard.
Oh, completely, yeah.
But just seeing stuff like that, the old ductwork was really neat on old buildings because everything was cast iron, and it was built like it was crazy how robust everything was.
Yeah. Yeah, you could see things like the dumbwaiter that came from the basement up, and you could see where the old wood cook stove was, and then you could see, the wood cook stove sat here, and then the pipe went up, and then it went through the bathroom to heat the bathroom area up.
Yeah.
Like you would just have a pipe going through the like just a pipe, know?
Yeah.
And that would make warmth in the... and then that would make warmth in the bathroom, and then there might be like a I don't know, like a trap door or something above the cook stove to allow heat to the upper area, or just things like that. They're
Smart.
Yeah, they were using their
It's
heads.
a very simple way of doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, construction is interesting business too.
It is.
So,
It is.
But
Yeah.
got out of that pretty quick though, because didn't want to be doing it for a career. Went back to school.
Yeah.
I took the electronics program at Camosun.
Oh, yes.
And that's kind of how I ended up in part where the job I have now.
Yeah.
But before I was doing the Viking thing, I worked at Carmana Technologies.
Yes.
With the solar lights.
Yeah.
Battery powered
Is
stuff.
Carmana still around?
They're still around. They're American owned.
Oh, they are.
They're basically a design house now, design and marketing. No more in-house manufacturing. That's all been farmed out.
Sure.
I don't even know if they actually make anything that's Carmana branded anymore. I've been a little out of touch with the business.
And Carmana, what did you do for Carmana?
I was an electronics technician.
Okay, and like, what were you guys building?
We were building at the beginning solar LED lights, lanterns. How the company started was the founder's name is Dr. David Green. And he's still around.
I saw him not long ago, actually.
He was a founding member of C-Star Optics.
Yeah. He doesn't know me, but I know him. He just walks by, and I
absolutely,
see.
yeah. Because he used to own a place up above.
He still does.
He still does.
Yeah, he still owns it. I think his daughter's working out of there now. At my downtown cigar store, the 2 suites above, he owns those. Yeah.
Maya Green. I think her name is Maya. Anyway, he was sailing around the world. Big sailing fan, still is as far as I know.
Okay.
Like being like kayaks, sailboats,
big
whatever
kayaker.
it is.
Yeah.
And he was finding that his anchor light, which is a white light at the top of the mast, steady white light that you're required to have on when your boat is at anchor, to let other boaters know that your boat is stationary, that it's not moving.
Oh, okay.
And it was draining his battery all the time. It was a bulb, incandescent bulb, and being an engineer. He had an idea that maybe he could come up with something that could be charged with the sun and burn during the night, but not burn itself out in 2 or 3 hours, something that would last.
Right.
LED technology was starting to come of age then.
Okay.
LEDs had been around for a long time, but they were always used for indication instead of illumination. They weren't that bright.
Oh, okay.
Very, they were
Sure.
quite dim. And so he hired an engineer. His name's Brock. I'm still in contact with him once in a while. He was the guy that was basically my mentor at Carmana.
Oh, okay.
And he said, if you were to find a small solar panel, some kind of a battery, and some kind of design some kind of a circuit that could make these white LEDs turn on at night and charge during the day, if we could come up with something like that, he says, there's a market for this. We could build these and we could sell them. So they came up with an initial design. I still have photos of it at home. It just looks like it's a rat's nest on prototyping board, right?
Yeah.
And essentially what it ended up to be is just a small solar panel, no bigger than just maybe 2 or 3 inches by 2 or 3 inches, maybe 4 to maybe 6 or 7 square inches. And so 2 wires coming down into a charging circuit, little voltage regulator, and just a very basic components that would switch when the voltage from the panel dropped to a certain level. It would switch to allow charge to come from the battery through the LEDs. It's a very simple system, but it did work. And the LEDs would turn on, but again, white LEDs were very young back then, like
Sure.
true white LEDs.
Yeah.
And they weren't very bright. So he says, okay, we got this system. It functions. It'll work, but we need to somehow get this LED brighter. So they bought off-the-shelf Fresnel lenses, like the angled scalp that you would find in a lighthouse.
Okay.
That were intended for an incandescent bulb. So they take the LEDs and they would put them up inside the lens. We built a little optics tunnel with a light sensor at the end to try and figure out the best
positioning, sure.
for that particular lens. Again, it was a store-bought lens off the shelf. And so it wasn't ideal, but it was the best that we could do. And
you were there at this time?
I was there just as they were starting the production of the first small commercially available light.
Okay.
That was one of the first things that we worked on. And it turned out that you were able to see it from about a mile away at night.
Well, that's not bad.
It was not bad.
Yeah.
And so we started making those. We hired a crew to basically pot them in polyurethane. That was a nasty job. They used an isocyanate and a polyurethane resin, 2-part. You'd mix them together. And
Like fiberglass.
Yeah. And it would start to catalyze, right?
Yeah.
But the problem with the catalyst, which was what they called an isocyanate, is you would get dermatitis from it pretty quick.
What's that?
Rashes.
Oh.
Yeah. And the joke was, when you first started potting, that was the job. When we hired somebody new and you first started potting, we told them that even if you're wearing PPE, you get something called tomato head. Your face turns red, your ears turn red, your skin.
What?
Yeah. But it goes away after a couple of days.
Oh, gee.
Yeah, it was pretty scary. This was quite a while ago now. It would never fly now.
No.
Like, you would be wearing NIOSH respirators, and we wore gloves and we had ventilation, but it was just one of those things that that you'd be exposed to in this small company. But we always made sure the guys were safe.
Yeah.
And anybody that displayed that type of sensitivity, they'd be pulled off the line and they'd be given other work. I had a couple of guys where they didn't react to it.
Okay.
And
lucky them.
It is lucky them. But there wasn't any long-term health risks. The MSDS sheets were clean on that. They were adamant about skin contact, though. You have to be careful about that. But we always wore proper nitrile gloves, aprons. We're pretty careful about that. So they would pot these lights in an acrylic base or a polyurethane base and a dome on the top to capture the light into the solar panel. And they would pot thousands of these things. Like, the whole production floor had thousands of these little blinking lights. At night we had flashing versions with specific flash codes that the Coast Guard wanted, because the different flashes mean different things to different organizations. And so we eventually got contracts with the Canadian Coast Guard and the U.S. Coast Guard, and started retrofitting. Like, you have a light here that was intended for Coast Guard use. And what they would do is they would replace on the buoys those big bulbs with these lamps. And it was a funny situation. The buoy tenders, the guys that would run the ships for buoy tending, it was a pretty sweet gig, because you would go out on the boat, take your couple of days or whatever it was, you get to the buoy, and your job was to service the battery, change the bulb if it was an automatic changer on a swivel, and basically clean it up. So you'd bring the buoy on board with a crane, the whole 9 yards. So it was a sweet gig.
Right.
The LED lamps removed that requirement because they were designed to run unattended for up to 5 years.
Oh.
And they didn't like that.
No.
So very often when our group would go out to have a look at the performance of our lights, they'd be full of buckshot, or someone had taken an axe to it, or whatever. And I'm not saying who did it,
right?
But vandalism on a buoy in the middle of the ocean was quite a high rate.
Is that a fact?
Yeah. And like I said, we don't know who did it, but you can guess.
Yeah.
There are
there's people that are losing their jobs, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And even now, when you take the ferry from Victoria to Swartz Bay, you'll go by a buoy or two and have a close look at it. It's got that lantern on it.
Is that right?
Yeah. And those ones are up to 3, some even 5 nautical miles. You can see them. That's how bright they were. So that ran for quite a while, to about 2010, 2011. And one day, we were working on a new design, and the vice president came into the lab, and he says, got to see you guys. We didn't know what was going on. Got to see you in my office. So they pulled us into the office, and they handed us envelopes, and they said, it's the end of the line. we're not doing this anymore.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Oh, that's shit.
But to their credit, what they did was they had calculated everything that the money that would have been coming to us through UI if we had run it to the end, and they gave us that money up front. You know, it was thousands for some of us, and they basically said, you know, we didn't know this was coming, we didn't see this, but we're going to do everything we can to take care of you guys, and they did. They treated us like gold when they let us go. They even enrolled us for free in seminars to help us job hunt resources, help us write resumes.
So why was it the end of the line? What was happening? The company was being sold, the company was being bought, it wasn't viable anymore?
It wasn't viable anymore. It was too expensive. All of our manufacturing was going offshore, so no more in-house design or at that time manufacturing. That was the biggest thing. A lot of us were involved in manufacturing. The job I was doing at that time when we were let go was life testing, what they call HALT testing, highly accelerated life testing. So we were using liquid nitrogen, static guns, heat chambers. Our job was to kill the lights, to find out what the limitations were and improve it, right? So that's what we were working on at that time, and we just basically left our benches and we never came back.
Was Dave already out of there by then?
He was already out of there by then. He was on the board of directors, but the CEO role had already been handed over to, we went through a number of CEOs between the time that Dave left and the time that manufacturing stopped. And
who was the last guy? Was it Art?
No, it wasn't Art. There was somebody after him.
Oh, okay.
I don't recall his name.
Yeah.
When Art was there, Art Aylesworth, that was 2003, 4, 5, in that time. That was the best years of Carmana.
Yeah?
We were making a shitload of cash. The company was doing really well. It was a fun place to work, man. Art and the guys, they made it. It was the best job in the world. We had a blast there. It just, everything about it was, we came to work with smiles on our faces. We loved the work, and it started to, after Art and the guys decided to go on to other things, the new guy came in and the atmosphere changed right away. You know, we never saw him. He was like a ghost CEO. Didn't even live in Victoria.
Right.
Had no direct involvement day to day with anybody that worked there. And
but Art was on the floor all the time, right?
Art was always around. You know, he was always interested in what was going on, always interested in making sure that people were happy and
cool,
that we're having fun. You know, Art's a good guy.
Yeah, I just saw him.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh man, I haven't seen him
not long
forever.
ago. He was they came in to get a couple cigars because they go, him and his buddy, I forgot his friend's name. Shoot, I should know it. He's a customer too. But yeah, they go fishing, you know, up in the Banfield or somewhere. Yeah. And they always come by, grab some cigars.
Yeah, because he was running Pete's Reels for a while.
Yeah, he's out of that now too.
Yeah.
I think he was involved in that with someone from his family, like son or...
Yeah, his son, Sean.
I think he still has it.
Yep. Oh, does he? I didn't know that.
Well, I can't be 100% sure, but I know that Art's out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, because his son, Sean,
Well, they bought the brand. They owned it.
They did, yeah.
Yeah.
Both Sean and Dave, his two sons, they both worked at Carmana as well for a time. And so got to know the family really well.
Yeah.
We used to have our staff parties at their house on Interurban. That was a lot of fun too. And some really good memories working at that time. But after Art left, everything went to shit.
Oh, that's too bad.
A lot of people left. A lot of people stuck around. As far as I know, there's even one or two guys that I worked with that are still with Carmana in management positions.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but...
And still have an office here then?
They still have an office here. They're in on the corner of Taiyi and Bay.
Yes.
There was that hardware store that burnt down a while ago. Well, they're in that building. Big Brothers Big Sisters is in there now.
Okay.
They occupy that building now. Because where we were, the new bridge went over it.
Yes.
Where the Coast Guard docks were.
Right.
You know, that was the main location. And for a time, they had their manufacturing facilities at the Black Press building, just down the road from your work, from the Bird.
Yeah.
I worked there for a couple of years.
Oh, yes, right.
Now it's Babcock.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so that was the building that we were in.
Yeah.
And it was pretty good there. That was full scale production.
Yeah.
And we had a whole crew of people, and that's where I really started to learn the trade of auditing, was when I was there. How that happened, how I got into auditing rather than still doing electronics design and engineering, was around 2000 when I was at Carmana. One of the managers came in, he says, "We want to get ISO certification for our quality system." And I'd heard about it, and I know that it was used in a lot of industries around the world, and I made the mistake of saying, "Well, that sounds like a good idea." And he turns to me and he says, "You're our man. I want you to get certification for the company." I'm like,
where do I start?
oh man. So started making some phone calls, talked to some buddies that still lived in Kelowna that had gone through the certification program.
Mm-hmm.
The more I read about it, the more I learned about it, the more I was interested in it, because it gives structure to the company.
Right.
The idea with quality is that you make stuff in a normal, say, assembly line. You make stuff, it gets inspected at certain points along the line.
Sure.
When you inspect something, the inherent quality of it is already in it. If there's an error in it, it's already in it. The inspector is expected to catch it. And if he does, that error is still in it. It already made its way through the system and found its way into a product even before it was looked at. And that's inherently dangerous, especially in the aircraft industry.
Yeah, right.
The idea with quality is if you have your processes and your instructions and you follow the way that the design was set out, that product has quality in it. So ideally, it'll get through the inspection phases without anything being wrong. There's no point in catching the same mistake again and again at the end of the line over and over and over again.
Right.
You got to fix it before it even gets into the system.
Right.
So that made total sense to me. It's totally logical.
Yeah.
Right. And so it kind of migrated that way. After I left Carmana, I started moving away from electronics and more into quality systems. And I like it. I didn't think that I would ever be interested in something like that.
Yeah.
No more hands-on, no more using, the soldering iron scopes, anything like that. I'm riding a desk and wandering around, talking to people in different cities, watching what they do. And it's a pretty good gig. I like it.
Yeah, that's cool. And so you were able to get the ISO certification for Carmana.
Yep. and
that must have helped elevate them.
Absolutely. It's a business standard. It's voluntary.
Is it like CSA? Kind of like, is that what that is?
It's similar to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You use it for marketing.
Oh, okay.
Not just for improving your own quality system, but it is a powerful marketing tool, and there's specific rules about how you use the designation, the marking of the registrar, the company that accredited you.
Right.
There's very specific rules about how you use their logo.
Oh.
Right. Because ISO, they don't certify products. You can never if you ever see a product around town where on the box or on the product it says ISO certified,
that's not right.
That's not allowed, and you can get busted on that during an external audit when they come and visit you, because they don't certify product, they certify processes.
Okay.
Right. So as an example, if you have a process that is to manufacture concrete life jackets, okay, strange idea. But if you have a quality process in place that shows that it follows the design, it was made in the way that it was intended to be made, you have your record of your documents and your end records as well, everybody was trained properly, all that was in place, you can have ISO certification to your process to manufacture concrete life vests. If that's what the design was intended for, if that's
right.
what
if
you
this
wanted
vest
it to
is
do,
built the way it's supposed to be built.
That's right.
Right.
So they don't care about the product.
Right.
They care about the process that's used to make it, or the process that's used to provide a service. A hair salon can be ISO certified as well. A police station can be ISO certified. It just sets out a guideline for how you operate day to day and how you produce a quality product or service.
Okay.
So when I finally got my brain around that, that it's got nothing to do with the product itself, then you realize that you can get ISO certification to anything.
Yeah.
You know, even if you just have a house that writes software, video game company, you can have an ISO certification to that too. And it really gives structure because it's universal. That standard is the same across the world. It's universally accepted. Now with airplanes, they have another standard that adds onto the ISO 9001, which is the number of the standard, and it's what they call an AS, or an aviation standard, and it has 100% of the ISO standard plus specific requirements for when you provide aeronautical products or services. So it's larger, and that's the main standard that I have to make sure that we meet.
Right, and those are going to be safety standards and product standards rather than just procedure standards.
Mostly still procedure.
Okay.
The safety is taken care of through, like here, WorkSafe BC, or the Occupational Health and Safety Association, you know, OSHA, as they call it, Occupational Safety and Health Association of Canada. So safety mostly through that. Transport Canada is specifically interested in safety as well. They don't want anybody crashing on their watch.
Yeah.
We have to make sure that all that's in place. But it's still a voluntary standard, a quality system standard, but it's intended for the aeronautical and space industry. So NASA has, some of their processes have AS certification as well.
Right.
So it's quite a thick standard, but I've read it so many times now, audited against it so many times now that it's just one of those
become
things.
like second nature to you.
Second nature.
Yeah.
You know, call sections out by memory a lot of the time, but it's just because you see it every day.
Mm-hmm.
And Boeing, Airbus, Embraer, Augusta Westland, all the big companies, NASA, they all have the same certification. It's a standard. It's a global standard.
Right.
A lot of places won't do business with you if you don't have it. Like Bell Helicopters, we do work for them as well. They wouldn't touch us with a 10-foot pole if we didn't have that certification.
Right.
Just the way it is.
Yeah.
So if you want to play with the big boys, you have to buy the big boys' toys.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to be willing to take on that kind of certification and role. And they come back every year to check on us. External audit every year. We just had ours. We usually get ours in May every year. This last one was weird because it was remote.
Right.
That was the first external audit I ever been through that was a remote audit.
Yeah.
But we used Microsoft Teams. It worked really well. It was seamless. The only thing they couldn't do was walk the floor and talk to the production guys, but they're going to go heavy on that next year because they only did the office procedures this year.
Right.
That's all they could do.
Yeah.
Can't walk around with a camera. It doesn't work.
No.
So, yeah, that's what they're going to do.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's some pretty heavy shit.
Yeah. It's,
I mean, to an outsider like me, I mean, I can't even imagine.
When I started, it was overwhelming.
Yeah.
Because like with a lot of the guys they're in, some people are in certain roles that if you screw up, there's big consequences. And the first thing that we always tell everybody, and we always think about ourselves, is number one priority is safety of the people on the plane.
Right.
Right? Because we have family days sometimes, and I put my son and my wife and me on the planes that we build.
Yes.
You think I'd put them on that if I wasn't confident with the product?
Yeah, right.
Right? So...
Well, that's good. That's a testament to the product. You're going on it yourself.
Well, every time a product gets to the very end and onto a plane, it's been looked at by 10, 15 individual people that have individually stamped off on the work order that it's good. So the chance of a bad part getting on a plane, it can happen.
Yeah.
But man, it's very, very rare for that to happen because everybody would have to be in the dark about that particular aspect of the part.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen very often.
No. And then once the plane is delivered to the client, does the client have, like, do you guys set out like a schedule, a maintenance schedule for the client?
They have a schedule. If it's a new aircraft and they want to do the maintenance themselves, because it's a variant of the original Twin Otter, it's called the 400 series. We also provide maintenance training. We're what we call a EASA, Certified European Safety Agency approved training facility. So we can send our guys out there, and they're approved trainers to teach their maintenance guys how to take care of that particular plane. But they do need to keep up with the maintenance. They have certain number of hours. The wings have to be replaced eventually. Like as an example, the fuselage of a Twin Otter is rated at 60,000 hours.
Okay.
The wings are only 30,000 hours. So if you want to run it to the end of its usable life, you got to order spare wings at some point.
Right.
And you have to be able to either have somebody install them or install them yourself.
Right.
So things like that, because the maintenance on aircraft is based on hours as well as cycles, how many times they take off and land.
Oh, okay.
It's also rated on that.
Sure.
Yeah, but there's no mileage per se.
How much is 60,000 hours or 30,000 hours?
I don't know. I'd have
That
to pull
sounds
out a
like-
calculator. It's a lot of work.
It sounds like a lot of time, though. Those planes are good for a long time.
They are. They're pretty robust for sure.
And then when you take a plane, say a plane's run at 60,000 hours, is that just scrap? Or do they, can it go get rebuilt?
They can be relifed. There are even other companies that they're permitted to do that. Essentially what is just refreshing certain components, structures on it.
Mm-hmm.
But they're using our parts in order to do it. But they do have the ability, like the legal ability to carry out that work. They can be relifed.
Right. Is that the best way to do it? Or is it better
it's the most cost-effective way of doing it.
Right.
Because if you want a new Twin Otter, they start at $7 million.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and they go up from there depending on what you wanted. If you want leather, air conditioning, if you want an executive interior with leather seats.
They use them for that?
Oh, yeah. They can be converted.
I thought they were more of a work plane.
They can be very much a work plane. You can get them bare bones. You can also have them with recliners, like leather, like private jets. You can have them outfitted like that. We even did one last year with a bathroom.
Yeah.
We made it out of a cardboard box, and it had a little flap door. And
just to figure it out?
Just to see what kind of size you would have, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Made sure it fit in the back of the plane. We pulled it out. Well, there's your box, and we're looking at it going, if you're over 6 feet, you're not taking a crap in that plane. Like, you can't fit in there.
Right.
But it's there. If you absolutely need it,
you could do it.
It's usable. And it's just a round, the seat is just a round hole with a box under it. Like, it's pretty rudimentary. There's no plumbing or anything like that.
Right.
But it is doable. We are able to do things like that. And some of the interiors are pretty nice. Like you poke your head in.
Like a Twin Otter like that, what distance are they traveling? Just like a couple hours?
If you were, if it was in what they call ferry configuration, meaning pilot, co-pilot, no passengers, no cargo, with just the standard tanks, you can get from here to Vegas in one go.
Oh.
If you use the wingtip tanks, auxiliary tanks at the end of the wings, you can make it from here to Winnipeg in one go. So when we deliver aircraft we had some go to Libya. We've got them all over the world, Papua New Guinea, Libya, the Maldives, all these places.
How do you get them there? Do you
fly them there?
You fly them there?
Yeah. But in an interesting way, what they do is they remove all of the interior and they install 9 40-gallon fuel drums.
Inside the plane. So it's like
it's a flying gas can. Yeah. So they put the barrels on the side.
Yeah.
And they're all linked together with a pump and a hose, like daisy chained. And that's what they use for flights.
And a plane like that can fly from here over the Atlantic?
Yeah, what they do
in one go
is they go from Ontario, like Churchill or one of those northern Ontario places.
Yeah.
And they go to Iceland, and then they come down into Europe. And then they can fly through Europe that way.
So they have to stop to get refilled a few times.
A bunch of times,
yeah.
And we even delivered aircraft to South Korea, Japan.
Holy.
And when you come down we go the other way. We go up through Alaska, across the Bering Strait, down through Russia. And
you guys get permission to land in certain places.
Yeah, but when we go by North Korea, you have to take a very wide berth over the ocean. Like,
right.
You got to give them hundreds of miles of clearance. We don't want to go anywhere near that place.
Yes.
And then come back in. So we've had a couple of planes go to Japan. It was what we called the Barbie and Ken planes, because one of them was blue and one of them was pink. We made them both at the same time. They both went to the same place. And we were joking that it was the Barbie and Ken planes.
That's funny.
Yeah, that was a good sale. Both planes at the same time.
Yeah.
They crashed the next year.
Oh shit.
Yeah, they had a incident on landing, and they stoved it into a ditch. And but it came back for repair, and so we were repairing a plane that we had only sold a year before. So it was good work for the guys.
Yeah.
Doing repairs, because Viking started off as an MRO, or maintenance and repair and overhaul place back in 1970 is when it started. And like even the Martin Mars bombers, Nils Christensen, the guy who founded Viking, was one of the crew members that converted it from a Navy plane into the water bomber. And they did it right where Viking is now at the airport. That's where the conversion took place.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Those are awesome.
Yeah, they're big, eh?
Awesome.
Yeah. And
They don't even move.
Hey?
Like if anyone's ever seen the Mars bombers, when they're flying overhead, it seems like they're standing still.
It's like a 747 on floats.
And but the speed is so slow.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were awesome seeing those things. I've got a picture of a Mars bomber. I was on Sproat Lake because that was their home.
Yep.
And I've got a picture of them flying over the just the trees real low. And then I got the picture when they dropped the load of water. They were just practicing. They were just testing.
Yeah.
And I got that shot, eh?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That was like once I saw him, I had just some cheapy camera, right? Like a point and shoot. So it's not like I'm not zoomed in much, but I see the plane. I'm taking a couple pictures, and all of a sudden they dropped the water load, and I took a picture right at the right time. Yeah.
One of our lead guys on the floor that works on the CL water bomber program, his dad's the chief pilot.
Oh.
So he's gotten to ride on the Mars bomber a bunch of times.
Oh, wow.
He's even made some parts for the inside of it. So his dad's been flying those for years, and he's the chief instructor for any new pilots coming on.
They're gone now.
They're
right?
gone now. Yeah. Because I think his dad's retired now.
Where did they send those? Do you know?
One of them went to the States.
Are they still using them, or?
I don't know if they are. Because there were more. There were 4 altogether, I think. And one of them they stoved into a mountain.
Yeah.
Because there was the Philippine, the Hawaii. I'm not too sure on all of the names.
Yeah.
But there were more at one point. But we only ended up with 2. One of them got farmed out pretty quick, and there was only one active one.
Mm-hmm.
One of the last big trips, it went to Oshkosh Fly-In, the big air show in the States in Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
They did a trip with the Mars there a few years back. And there's videos of that on YouTube. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how that turned out.
So you guys have pilots on staff, or
we do?
Yeah.
We've got one fellow. He's new to the company. He's been with us 2 years. His name is Des, and man, a lot of experience. Used to fly F-18s, F-16s.
Really?
Flew a Saab Viggen fighter jet.
Holy.
It's a lot of experience. And when he got out, it was a perfect fit for him, because production test pilots they fly the plane in ways that you normally wouldn't.
Yeah.
You got to have that experience. So we do have a company that we use for staffing. It's called Pacific Sky. They're on the other side of the runway, near there's the Spitfire Grill.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the building right next to it.
Okay.
And so we use them for our test flights. And yeah, a lot of trust with those guys and us.
Yes.
To get into plane green.
Yeah.
I've never been off the ground before, and but no, we make sure it's
right.
Oh yeah.
And do they test them right here?
Yep.
Do we know? Can we, as a public, can you find out when they're going up? And
no, we don't even know as a company when they're going up.
Oh.
It's very much dependent on weather, and depending on the testing they're doing, they have to go to certain places. If they do stall testing or anything a bit more aggressive, they have to be in a certain area away from the population. A lot of times they do it over the water.
Right.
But they also do the first flight actually happens in Calgary. So it's a bit of an interesting flow. The wings, the cockpit, the nacelles, all that is made in Victoria, and we put them on a truck, and that truck goes to Calgary. Calgary is the final assembly place.
Okay.
And the reason why we have it there is that entire hangar is owned by Sherry Brightson, who owns Viking.
Mm.
And so she owns that hangar, so it was a logical place for us to...
It's woman owned?
Yeah.
Viking, very nice.
Yeah. Sherry Brightson is as far as I know, she's the wealthiest lady in the country. She is related to the Thompson family. I think that's right. The publishers.
Yes, they're the richest family in Canada.
Yeah, and so yeah, she
Is
owned
she
the
around?
hangar. Yep, she lives in Victoria.
Oh yeah. So she's is she on the come in? And
She comes in quite often.
Yeah,
Her private jet's always at work.
oh, that's cool.
She's got a 737 that she parks out front.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah,
Oh, just a
yeah.
small plane.
But nicest lady though.
That's
If
awesome.
you didn't know who she was and she sat down next to you, like I didn't know who she was the first time I met her. She sat down next to us in the cafeteria, and you would never know.
Just a down to earth.
Down to earth lady, really nice. Loves Viking, loves the product. It's one of the reasons why the company is still running right now, because we could have closed with the downturn and the pandemic and everything else, but she stuck by us, and she says you keep your guys working as much as you can. Even at one point when we were still producing aircraft and we had no customers, she says, I'll buy the planes, you keep building them, I'll buy them, and I'll find customers. So she started a separate arm called Longview Aviation. Like, Longview Acres, the farm that out on the peninsula, you see the big rig or the truck on the side of the highway.
Maybe, yeah.
She owns, that's hers as well.
Okay.
So she started Longview Aviation. And so how the arrangement worked is we build them, they sell them. Because we were selling them ourselves. It was hard. You build them and you park them out front and try and find a customer for it.
Right.
So that arrangement started a couple of years ago. It's been working well. And anyway, back to the factory. That's where they put the wings on the fuselage, where they put the landing gear and the engines, and they take their first flight there.
Oh, okay.
Once that flight is done, they fly to Spokane to have it painted.
Oh, really?
And the reason why we choose Spokane is they're willing to do the work that we want it to be done. They're able to accommodate us because we're a small company, small planes. The place that does it does commercial jets.
Right.
That's their bread and butter. But they get a little corner in the side of their gigantic hangar and their paint booth where they're happy to do the work for us. They do a good job, and they do it for a decent price.
Nice.
Once it's painted, it comes back to Victoria. They prep it for delivery. When the customers come, everybody's wearing suits. The red carpet is out, literal red carpet out in front of the plane. They look it over, they take it for a flight, they sign on the dotted line. We hand them the keys, the proverbial keys. The key only unlocks the door, and that key fits every other door. And then they take delivery, and they have a choice of either taking it themselves or having it delivered, and they normally have it delivered.
Sure.
And that's one of the other main tasks for our test pilots or the staff pilots is they do the delivery. Fly it all the way down there, and then take a commercial flight back home.
Right.
And sometimes it can take quite a while to get there, because
Yeah.
these places go to some pretty obscure locations around the world.
Yeah.
But no Canadian customers.
Really?
Yeah, as far as I know, we haven't delivered a new Twin Otter to Canada, but they've gone to the States. The Golden Knights parachute team bought 2 of them. We fitted them with the see-through bread door rollers, so they could flip it up and jump out. And every other country I can imagine. None in China yet. Still working on getting in Brazil. But Russia has bought a number of them from us. And India is another place that we want to get into. They call them the BRIC countries: Brazil, Russia, India, and China. Those are the emerging big players in the global markets.
Yeah, right.
So you want to get into those markets as the best you can.
Yeah.
But it's hard. The rules for like China especially is very different than the rules that we have here. And a lot of these places don't want to import any of these planes unless we agree to let them build part of it. They want to create work for their own countries.
Right.
So we've got a whole group of very smart individuals across the road from where we work that take care of stuff like that.
Right. Because you guys still want to keep building them. You don't want
to keep building them, yeah.
Yeah.
But a very specialized knowledge and core competency to be able to negotiate that business side of it.
Yes.
We were doing it ourselves for a while, and it was, we're just a bunch of guys that want to build planes. We don't know anything about importation or or rules and regulations about how to get stuff over an X amount of dollars into certain areas of the country, like in China.
Yeah.
It's
not
you get other people to do that.
Yeah.
That's not what we do, right?
Yeah.
So we let them figure it out. And they do a good job. We got a really good group of people, really hardworking people. Everybody I work with, it's a great place to work. Everybody works hard, and they take their jobs very seriously.
Nice.
Especially the quality inspectors. Those guys are a little weird, but they're good, man. They've got 1,000 feelers, and they're checking under rivet heads, and if it slides underneath there, reject it. It's gone.
Yeah, loose rivet.
You either fix that rivet, or you scrap the part. Doesn't matter how much work went into it. If it's not perfect, and you can't bring it to perfect, like bring it to drawing, you throw it out. Cut it up and throw it out. That's the rule. The standard says you have to destroy it, not just throw it in the garbage. You have to cut it up.
So that it can't be somehow find its way back onto a plane.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. There's some companies that basically would just red tag it, or just write scrap on it, or maybe not even do either of those, and they just put it on a shelf somewhere. Yeah. Somebody walks by, hey,
I need that.
That looks all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take it onto the line, put it on a plane. That's bad news.
That is bad news.
You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So they're pretty.
So your garbage can must be awesome.
We've got an interesting disposal system for sure.
I mean, even cut up parts must be pretty cool to a guy like me.
Yeah. The bandsaw is running 24/7.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. They whenever there's a part scrapped, what the standard specifically says, it has to be rendered unusable, disfigured, like. You actually have to, put it in a state where it can't be
put back together by somebody. Yeah.
So typically that just means cutting it up.
Is that part of this ISO?
Mm-hmm. Part of the AS 9100 standard, which is the aviation standard of the ISO. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's specifically written right in there about scrap control.
Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of interesting rules in there, but when you read through it, it's like, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's there for the safety of the person flying in the plane.
That's exactly why it's there. So nervous flyers, in Twin Otters, there's absolutely no reason to be, for sure. I would trust my life with the guys that I work with.
Yeah,
just the way it is, because I know exactly what they do, and I know how they do it, and how often they do it.
Yeah,
and it's like
if they're using 1,000 feeler gauges, it's pretty thin.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. We've got some pretty cool equipment. We have one of the largest commercially available 3D printers.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It's probably 8 feet wide. It's taller than me, 6 or 7 feet tall. And it can produce a solid part the size of a dishwasher inside it. That's how much capacity it has.
And what's when you 3D print, what's the material you're printing with?
Different types of plastics.
Yeah. It's always a plastic, right?
Right now it's a plastic. Yeah. We don't have the capability to run metal.
Yeah.
But it can run. The type of plastics that we're normally using are high impact plastics, because we use them as form blocks. With aluminum sheets, in order to get them into a shape that you want, one of the interesting things about aluminum is that when you think of a paper clip, they're aluminum, you bend it back and forth. What eventually happens to it?
Should break.
Yeah, it cracks and it pops apart. When you form or deform aluminum at room temperature, that's what it does. It stresses and it cracks.
Okay.
So when you build an airplane out of aluminum, which our aircraft are almost entirely made of basically 3 different grades of aluminum, that stress, that wiggle, that movement, eventually it's going to cause cracking, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what we do is we use form blocks and a rubber press. The rubber press is capable of thousands of tons. It's huge. It's got a piston 5 feet in diameter that comes down. So what they do is they take the aluminum sheet and they heat it to 900 degrees Fahrenheit, thereabouts, for about half an hour. Quench it in room temperature water, like straight out of the oven.
So you're tempering it or whatever.
Well, actually what it's doing is it's softening it.
Softening it, right.
Yeah, so it puts it what they call O condition, annealed condition.
Yes, annealing, that's what that is.
So
yeah.
You could push your finger into it and it'll leave a dent.
Right.
That's how soft it is, right?
Right.
So while it's in that state, right? You can keep it in a freezer, minus 40 degrees or below 10 degrees Fahrenheit. As long as you keep it cold, it will stay in that state. When it comes back up to room temperature, that's called, it's hardening, like a room temperature or age precipitation starts to harden again. So you keep it cold, ice cold. You get your form block that has the shape of the part that you want. You put it on the press, you pull the metal out, put it on top, toss a rubber blanket over it, thump. So it forms that shape, but because it's soft, it doesn't crack.
Right.
And there's no stress.
Right.
And as soon as it's formed, you can either leave it at room temperature and it hardens, or you can put it in what we call a pizza oven. Runs at 350 degrees, and it'll artificially age it, and you leave it in there for 24 hours. When you do it that way, the resulting metal it rivals steel in strength. So it's pretty cool.
I was talking to a friend of mine about crush washers.
Yeah.
They're annealed.
Yeah.
But as soon as you bend them, they go hard.
Yeah. Yeah. It's called work hardening.
Yeah. It's really weird.
Yeah.
It's like soft, and then you bend it, and it's hard, and you can't bend it anymore.
Yeah.
And then you have to reheat it.
Yes, you can reheat it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a washer. I mean, who cares, right? But
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, when the guys are working with the form, to get it sit right, they have to be quick, and they have to be sure that they do as little forming or tapping or hammering as possible, because it work hardens as you play with it more.
Right.
So there's that fine balancing act, right? So yeah, that's what they use those 3D printed blocks for right now. We're working on certification to allow us to make airplane parts with it. We've done some duct work, like some for air conditioning and things like that, non-structural, non-bearing parts. We've been playing around with some of that. It does a great job. A lot cheaper than having it welded out of formed aluminum, to make ducting, because welding's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And we've only got a couple of welders that are able to do it. So
yeah, not everyone can weld aluminum.
Well, especially not aerospace aluminum,
Yeah,
because
no
there's
kidding.
very specific criteria that you have to meet. If it's what they call a Class A or a load-bearing structure, it has to go for X-ray.
Yes.
It goes for a fluorescent penetrant inspection, and it also has to pass a visual exam. And if any of those fail, you throw it out, unless it can be ground out and done again.
Yeah.
But there's very few parts where you can do that. So yeah, it's an expensive process. And if you were to start a plane from start to finish, from pulling the first piece of sheet metal to sending the plane out the door, and you were only running one through the process at a time, it would take 9 months. That's how long it takes to build a plane. But we always have some in the pipeline at various stages. So when we were running at peak a few years back, when things were really going good, we were putting one out every 10 business days.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So it was a lot of work, but everybody was doing their individual thing.
Yeah.
And it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little slower now.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure it'll come back.
Yeah.
Right?
They're hoping for some pretty good results next year.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see.
After the pandemic kind of washes over us and does whatever
Washes
it's got to do.
us,
Whatever.
Yeah. Who knows if they get an effective vaccine, that will really knock it back. As long as we can get people to take it, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah. People are scared about it. There's a lot of either it's misinformation or I don't know, conspiracy or whatever about the vaccine. People are not thrilled about it.
Yeah.
I'm not thrilled about it.
Yeah.
Because you hear all this, you just hear stuff, like it's bad for you. It's this, it's that. I'm like, I don't know. I've been vaccinated for a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
Why would I not get vaccinated
and
for
I never
this?
got any of those diseases,
Yeah.
all the way through.
Yeah.
So it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But to each his own. It's got to be a personal decision.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that if it does work and it is safe, I would hope that because the virus at the way it is right now with the uptick, the swing, it's got a hold of the population and the way that people are, for lack of a better word, behaving in various parts of the country or the world. It's a virus's wet dream.
Oh yeah.
This is perfect. And with the nature of the virus too, that you can carry it and spread it and not even know you have it, like you're ambulatory and you're infected, it doesn't get any better than that.
Not for a virus. Nope.
No, it's like the virus has legs.
Yeah.
You know, it's perfect.
Yeah.
And that's the big problem, is that you're still functional while you're sick.
Yeah.
And it feels like a flu.
Or not even.
Yeah.
A cold.
A cold. And we all work through flus and colds.
Yeah.
Right? That's just what you do. That's what
we've always done. You're a pussy if you don't.
That's right.
Right? So now it's perfect. Even more perfect.
Yeah. If there was only a way, like other than testing, if there was just some telltale way of knowing that you have it. But effective viruses don't work like that.
No.
No, because
That's
then
right.
they wouldn't exist.
That's right.
Crazy. So, what's new with you?
With me?
Yeah, I know. Don't get to talk to you much except when you're at work. There's an interview of you now.
Yeah, everyone wants to interview me. All my guests want to interview me.
When are you gonna switch the role where you're sitting on this side of the microphone?
I was just talking about that yesterday with John Anderson.
Yeah.
Soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to get someone to interview me.
Yeah.
So we can talk about whatever.
Choose somebody that I'm sure that Bill would be a good candidate. He's a storyteller for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you'd have to select somebody that
to draw me out.
Yeah, and guide your way, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like
us staring at each other. So what do you want to talk about now? How long have we been doing this for now?
I don't know. A while. Yeah. 2 and a bit hours.
That's cool.
Yeah. I'll tell my story at some point.
Yeah.
It's gonna take some work to get it out of me. This is episode 17 now.
Wow.
Right? I know. Pretty
I'm
fun little
17.
project. I know.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
But your parents for sure. You got to get their story.
Yeah.
You know. And if you're able to, I would have loved to have done something with that with my dad.
Yes.
I thought about it for years. I let it go too late. I have regrets about it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
we need to get their stories.
Don't wait.
No, I'm gonna get my parents up here and we'll talk about the old country and the immigration to Canada and just all that.
Because you'll learn a ton of stuff you didn't know.
Yes.
Which is the coolest thing.
Yes.
Right. Even when we watched the other podcasts that you've done with people that I've known for years.
But you didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know.
Like Warner being born in Germany.
I didn't know that. I didn't. Yeah.
And just stuff like that, and the adventures that people have been on.
Yeah.
Like, because when we used to smoke together a lot.
Yeah.
We always had such a mishmash of people. In the back, everybody did something different in their life for a career.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody from all different walks of life.
Yes.
And some of the stories, from firemen or from ambulance technicians or loggers or lawyers.
Yes.
Right. All these stories that you hear from people that have careers or lives that you don't really know much about. You get to hear all the crazy shit they've gone through.
That's what I love about cigars.
Yeah.
It's a common denominator, but that's the only thing. And I've said this before. When you get like car guys together, let's just for instance, because I'm a car guy, all we talk about is cars.
Yeah.
Boring as shit.
Yeah.
But when you get cigar smokers together, you talk about everything.
Yeah.
It's not just about, we talk about cars, but we talk about just all sorts of topics. It's like a men's support group in a way,
Exactly.
And I really like that about cigars. It's just it's the personalities that you get.
This, as far as I can recall, the only conversations about cigars when we were smoking cigars it lasted 5 seconds. What are you smoking today?
Yeah, exactly.
And the guy would tell you, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. We didn't go on and on and on about the manufacturing and the company. We didn't do that.
Yeah,
we all talked about other stuff, right? Interesting stuff.
Some more interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the, the Saturday morning ritual for years.
Mm-hmm.
I miss it a lot.
Yeah.
I was talking to Gord about that too, eh? And that was one of the main reasons for me to get out of the house on a Saturday morning. I'm still out Saturday mornings now, but I'm just walking around with my camera.
Yes.
Because photography is still, as you know, it's
your hobby.
It's a big thing that I really enjoy. And I'll go downtown with a camera around my shoulder, and 9 times out of 10 come back without ever turning it on. But it gets me out. It gets me looking at things. You know? And
so you're still taking photos?
Yeah, I was just downtown yesterday because it was Saturday
Yes.
with my camera walking around. And
Take any pictures?
I took 2. I don't know why or what. There's something about it. I haven't actually looked at them on a computer yet, but I'll have to take a look. But I recently picked up a new camera. It was last year, just before. No, it was this year, just before all this crap went down.
Okay.
It was like 2 weeks before Kerrisdale actually shut down for distancing. So I was lucky I got in on that, and it's a full frame DSLR.
Nice.
Always wanted to try one of those, and I regret waiting for
really?
so long.
Really?
It's that much of a difference.
See, I'm wondering if I should go to a full frame at some point.
It's incredible.
It is, eh?
Even for depth of field, much shallower possible depth of fields with a full frame.
Is that right?
You can like, if I took a photo of you wide open with that camera, I could get the tip of your nose in focus and everything else be blurred. And if I took it with a crop sensor, like the other cameras that we have,
Yes.
it's difficult to get that much of a depth of field.
Interesting.
And the resolution's, of course, out of this world. Low light performance is fantastic because it's a larger sensor. The
Yes.
pixels are bigger,
Yes.
more light gathering capability.
Higher ISO.
Yeah, like 20,000 ISO, very viewable.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not all noisy.
It looks like it's printed on very, very fine sandpaper. It looks even. It looks clean. If you were to take a picture in a candlelit scene at 6400 or 12.8, it looks as good as 400 in my old camera.
Is that? Are you serious?
Yeah, it's amazing. The first photo I brought up on the computer when I took some low light shots to begin with, I wanted to see if what they were saying was true.
Yes.
The first thing I said when I saw the photo come up, went, "Holy shit!" Big smile on my face.
Yeah.
I said, this is the way to go.
So what's the body?
It's a Canon 6D.
6D.
Yeah, which was the first, I guess what they considered affordable full frame camera.
Right.
When it came out, it was still over $2,000.
Yes.
But I got mine used for $700,
There you go.
and it only had 10,000 frames through it.
No. Yeah.
It's just getting warmed up.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I'm
so-
still shooting with my D80.
Which was probably then when it
was
came
great
out,
camera.
it is
Oh,
one
it
of
was
the best
great.
cameras that you
Great.
could get
Yeah.
with the Nikon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
But they're like cameras these days, especially DSLRs. You treat them as computers. Once they're a few years old, they're not worth anything anymore.
Yeah.
They may be worth something to you.
Oh, it's
and
worth
how you
nothing.
use it.
I could probably buy that,
can't
replace
sell
it for $100.
Exactly.
Yeah.
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 It just goes to show, like with the camera that I have, it came out 10 years ago. It was over $2,000 when it was new. I got it for $800.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's not very good retention and value, but it was exactly what I was looking for,
Yeah.
and it was perfect. It fits the lenses that I already have.
Yes.
The layout of the menu and the switches was familiar, so that's what I ended up choosing, and I don't regret a moment of it.
Nice.
It's been
nice.
a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of product photography lately.
Yep.
I'm enjoying that.
Yeah.
I'm getting better at it.
I think
I'm actually getting pretty good at it.
full frame would work well for that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
especially with the shorter lenses.
Yeah. Yeah. It would probably actually work better with my 105
Mhm.
because it's too. The 105 is such a nice lens,
Mhm.
but I have to stand too far back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the space
Yeah,
often, so that'll get me in tighter.
yeah. And you get one like with mine, it has Wi-Fi.
Oh,
So you take a picture, it's on your phone, on your computer, whatever it is.
oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Because I need to do that. Because I shoot right next to my computer, but I'm not hooked up directly to my computer, and
Right.
the viewfinder on the cameras, it's okay, but it's not great.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really see. Oh, that little spot's blowing out on that product. I have to retake that
It can
photo.
be tough.
It can be tough sometimes.
Yeah. But yeah, especially with Canon's had it up for years, but a number of the brands you can buy remote software capture.
Yes, I can
You
with
can
the
see it
Nikon.
on-
Yeah,
It
That's
works
what-
pretty well.
you can actually trigger it from the computer.
Yep.
Which is what I would like to, where I'd like to
Yeah.
get
And you see a full screen version of what you're looking
immediately. Yeah,
at. So what you see is what you get.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But that's just
Yeah.
just another hassle. You know,
It's
how often do you take photos of product?
For me, it'd be worth it.
Yeah.
I'm taking a lot right now, like
cool.
hundreds.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
That is
yeah.
substantial.
Production. Like I'm production shooting right now.
Yeah. Then you should definitely be using something like that.
Yeah.
Make it a lot easier.
Yeah. And then it gets rid of any camera shake too, which I experience sometimes because I'm still using the trigger.
Yep.
I bought a, what do they call it? A corded trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Got the wrong one.
Oh. That can be confusing sometimes.
Yeah, I actually went to a store and actually told them I got a D80, I need a wire trigger for it, and they gave me the wrong one. And I didn't go and use it for like months, so now I have this stupid trigger that I can't use. But anyway, I'll get another one, $30.
Yeah.
You know,
I'll find out which ones it does use for and just stick it on use, Vic.
Yeah, it's like just
what are you gonna do with it?
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Even if you get $5 back for it.
Yeah, $5 or $10 for it. Yeah.
Buy yourself one of those fancy cigars at that Goodfellas place.
Yeah. $10 doesn't get you anything in cigars anymore.
No. Well, I remember with those this Hoya de Nicaraguas.
The Antaños.
A few years ago they were $17, $18. They're not that price anymore.
No, they're all
like
$25 now. Yeah.
That's the way it goes.
It is. Yeah. The tax man is expensive here in Canada. Product prices have gone up. The dollar's not strong, and the taxes are high. So it's all those are all things.
Yeah.
Cigars are all in U.S. dollars, right? So
yeah. So as far as all this think about packaging,
yes,
we had talked a while about, and I'm curious. I'd like to ask you about it with the artwork on cigar boxes.
Mm-hmm.
What's happened with that? Have they actually moved forward with it?
They have moved forward with it.
Okay.
So in Canada, when you see a cigar, there will be no more cigar box art. There will be no more band.
Okay.
So the box now is a Pantone color. It's like a greeny, muddy green.
Yeah.
And the band will be the same. Yeah. So all the art, anything to make the product look pretty, doesn't exist anymore. We're not there yet, but we're starting to get that product now. So we're starting to transition. So there's no more cigar box. Most of the companies are going to just start shipping in bundles, because what's the point?
Yeah.
Because there's no more marketing on the cigar box. It's going to be it's very difficult. It's very difficult. All the brands look the same.
Yeah.
Everything looks the same, which is it's hard for the consumer and the retailer because you can't identify one product from another.
And not just that. You ask any cigar smoker of what is it about cigars that they enjoy, not one will deny the fact of the artwork, the band, the design, the colors, the pictures.
Yeah.
It's important to everybody that smokes cigars.
Yeah.
And now that that's too bad.
Now they went plain packaging 2 steps, right? First cigarettes and loose tobaccos.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is people miss the artwork, but it hasn't changed the consumer's behavior at all.
Understood.
You know, so we're still selling the same amount of volume. We're still selling the same brands.
People are just bitching more.
They're still smoking the same.
Yeah.
They're just bitching about it.
Yeah.
They always bitch about it. I don't think it's not well thought out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot for nothing.
Yeah. That's too bad.
Yeah, and the one thing that is happening though is we're losing brands because some manufacturers are just like, no, we don't sell enough volume in this product in Canada to create special packaging for it. So
that's exactly what happened with a shaving soap that I use, because I use either straight edges or
wet shave.
Like a double blade with
like a
razors,
safety razor. Yeah.
And there was one product that used to come in from the UK. It was called Taylor of Old Bond Street. Nice soaps. After a while, I was having a hard time finding them on the shelves. So I asked my local supplier, what's the deal with this? And he says, French. That's the deal with it. The requirement was that if they're going to be sold in Canada, the labels have to have French on them as well. Well, the UK supplier said,
good luck.
Screw that. You guys don't buy nearly enough. You know, your market is not our big market. No, we're not doing it. And that was it.
That's it.
So the only stock that I'm getting now is old.
Right.
And when you're dealing with soaps, you got to be careful what you get, because they don't have an indefinite shelf life. You take the top off and it's like, it's gone. It's separated. It's runny.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
Yeah. And you can bring it back, but you know the retailer says,
why should you?
Yeah.
Why should you have to bring it back? Yeah.
Well, because they're freaking expensive. That's why.
Yeah, but you should. Yeah, they are. They are.
Yeah.
I use I use soaps and a brush too, and they are expensive.
Yeah.
They're quite expensive. But as a consumer, you shouldn't have to re-whip that.
No.
You know, like you shouldn't have to go through that
Yeah.
to use that soap. You're buying it. You're paying full price for it. It should be ready to use when you get
Yeah,
it.
exactly. And all it would have taken is maybe even with
A sticker.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
can we print them and put them? No, you're not putting anything on our product.
Yeah.
Well, can you? No,
No.
we're not going to do that either. So that was it.
And okay, so the part about that bothers me a lot from a business perspective is the supplier of that soap can no longer sell you that soap.
Yeah.
But there's probably nothing stopping you as a consumer from buying that soap directly from another country and having it shipped directly to you without the labeling on it.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And that is the exact same thing that's happening with a ton of products in Canada.
Yeah.
There's all these regulations inside the country. So now me as a retailer, I can't sell them to you because I'm in Canada.
Yeah.
But you as a consumer, you just order them from wherever you want and they come in.
Yeah.
Tax and duty free typically.
Yeah.
And it just cuts the local retailer out, the local Canadian business out.
Yeah.
But the consumer's still using the product.
Yeah. And the government has no issue with that.
They don't.
No.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Now with shaving soap is maybe not as big of a deal, but with tobacco, they're trying to control tobacco within our country so that people stop using it. It's not as romantic or as glamorous or as, there's no marketing behind it.
Yeah.
So they're trying to do it for health reasons, at least apparently. But then the consumer can just buy that product elsewhere and it gets shipped in.
Yeah.
And now the government doesn't know what they're buying, what they're getting, what the health consequences of that product are.
Yeah.
And they have no control over that. Health Canada has no control over what someone's going to order on the internet and have shipped into the country.
Yeah.
It's insane to me. It's absolutely insanity.
Yeah.
So it looks good on the surface. We're controlling the sale of the product, but they're not. This is a modern economy.
Yeah.
You don't have to leave your house to buy everything. We get our groceries delivered, for crying out loud.
Which is still kind of weirds me out.
It
I've
is
never
weird.
bought groceries online.
Yeah,
but,
we've done it a couple times, but you know what I'm saying? Like the government has no control over what's being shipped in.
Yeah.
And let's face it, Canada Customs, I mean, they're already overwhelmed and underfunded. They don't have time to check it. 1% of the packages coming into the country.
Yeah.
So that part really bothers me. Really bothers me.
Yeah, for sure.
Why not allow the guy that sells the soap to sell that soap?
Yeah.
He could make his own label and stick it on there. Like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm pretty adamant about spending my money locally.
Me too.
No,
So I buy soap. I'm buying the soap I'm using right now is from the Copper Hat.
That's my go-to guy.
Yeah.
And he's the guy that can't get it anymore.
See, that's annoying because he's a small business
Yeah.
trying to just stay in business, especially now.
Yeah. Well, he's not even in Market Square anymore. He had to move at the end of September to a warehouse in Esquimalt.
You know what? I did not know that.
Yeah, it's all papered up for lease.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, he wanted to stay, but
What happened there?
just not enough sales and the lease prices.
That's
He
insane.
couldn't make a go of it. And he tried. He actually had announced that he was
I didn't know that. So that just happened.
September 27th.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that was his last day. But you can still order stuff online.
And can you go to his store and buy?
Yeah, you can show up in person too. He's on Wilson Road,
Yes.
near the Canadian Warehouse.
Yes.
He's in the woodworking shop right across the road on the corner.
Well, I'll have to
There's
go.
a shop in the bottom.
I'll
He's
go.
got a
Yeah.
place up top.
His stuff's great.
That's where
I want
go
to get a new brush from him. Yeah.
He's got some that he makes himself.
Yes, I know.
They are nice brushes.
They are?
Yeah.
They're the ones that are like the anodized aluminum
Yep.
handles, right?
Yeah, yeah, we had a lot of aluminum chats when I went in there because he was asking about, tempering, what grade aluminums do you guys use?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
We had a really good conversation on that. But they're one of a kind. You buy that brush, no one else has one like it in the world, which has its own little cachet too.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm using his soaps and they're great. I'm going to get a razor from him at some point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, buy all my stuff from him. And if
Huh.
he can't get,
Well, now that he's not there, maybe I should bring a few soaps and shavers into the store because I always resisted doing that because I knew he was my neighbor. He was a good guy and he was just right there.
Yep.
But now that he's not there anymore, maybe I should look at that because there's no one in the hood that's selling it.
and he's serious about making a go of it. He'll even deliver it here to your house for free.
Is that a
Yeah,
fact?
he does a run once or twice a week where he just gets in his car for the day and just delivers stuff.
Wow.
Or he says you can come and pick it up, have a chat. It's all done online. You can phone if you don't like using the computer. Just give him a call and say, I need a tub of this, or I need maybe a Jagger razor or something like that.
Yeah.
And you'll have it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. But because I can't buy that soap from him, I'm not buying that soap anymore.
Right.
Because I can get it from a place called Fenderhan in Toronto. I can get it from them because they have stock, but I don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
Brad, the guy who runs Copper Hat, he's got his own soaps that he has.
Yes, and that's what I use. I use it in one of those little aluminum tins, and soap is hard.
It is,
and it lasts a long time.
Yeah.
The only thing with his soap, I've got a couple cream soaps too. His, you've got to really whip. You got to really lather.
Well, there's a trick with that. Is before you get in the shower, put some hot water, a layer of hot water on top.
Yes.
And when you come out, it works really well.
Yeah.
I use the unscented one.
Oh, okay.
That's my favorite.
Yeah. I use the I think it's called Bay Rum or yeah. I like it.
You and I use the same soap now.
Yeah.
So I told him if I can't get Bond Street, so what do you have? And he says, well, I got my own. I said, I'll buy that.
Yeah.
Because I don't get a reaction from it. There's other soaps that I've used and I break out. It's because of a paraben or some other crap that they put into it as like a preservative, I guess.
I don't know what it is.
But his are all natural.
Yes.
And the first time I tried it, man, it was like gold.
Yeah.
So I got to get
every bunch. I tell my wife to use my soap and brush for her legs, right? Because I don't like, everyone should be using this. This is like a public service announcement right now. Everyone should be using a soap and a brush because just for the waste alone.
Yeah.
There's no waste.
Yeah.
You got these stupid aerosol cans.
The tube goop.
You spray it out. They don't last worth a shit.
No.
It's got stuff in it that dries your skin. You've got all this garbage and all this shipping. This guy's making it right here in Victoria. You go get a couple, 3 pucks.
Yeah.
I got my one dish that I can, it's just way better. It's better for the environment.
Yeah.
It's better for the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll never use the aerosol can full of soap
or
again.
those cartridges, those razor cartridges, like the
Gillettes and the Whatettes. Yeah, they're expensive and they don't last. And
they're it's just waste.
Yeah.
I can get a pack of 100 double-edge razor blades for $15, and it'll last me a year and a half. For $15, shaving every day.
What?
And get a better shave.
So I don't use
else.
that yet.
Oh, I got to educate on it. That's a whole different topic there
Yeah,
that
I know.
we can talk about now.
I don't use that yet, but I should do it,
Oh.
Just a safety razor and no cutting, no nicking. I can shave my head with it.
That could be a little bit more tricky. With the safety razor, you have to be conscious of the angle and never move it this way.
No, never
Right.
move. Yeah.
But if you have the angle right, and let's say you have an adjustable double edge, you can get them for very mild.
Yes.
Or
that's what
dial
I would
out
want. Yeah.
For aggressive.
Coarser. Yeah.
There is no better shave because it's one pass.
One blade.
Yeah. And you're not, the old animations of the lift and pull that you see on TV for the cartridges. That's how you get ingrown hairs.
Yeah.
This doesn't do that. It'll only cut it as close as the surface of your skin.
Right.
So think of it more as hair reduction rather than hair removal.
Okay.
Right? And there is no better shave. Like I said, I used to break out a lot. And it turned out it was those freaking cartridges that were doing it. So I went to a double edge or straight razors too.
Can you use a straight razor?
Yeah.
Do you? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, remember the Purple Heart that you cut for me?
Yes, I remember
I
that.
used those for scales on a straight razor.
Yeah.
And you just gotta be careful.
Yeah. I've got one. I'd have to get someone to show me how to use it.
Yeah, they provide a really nice shave as well, and a little tricky around the round parts, around under your nose, but as far as your cheeks and your neck,
no problem.
It's no problem.
Yeah.
But
yeah, because those stupid refills you get, like the Gillette or whatever, God damn, they're expensive.
Yeah.
And one of those cartridges is good for like 2 or 3 shaves.
That's it. And you can get 4 or 5 good shaves out of one edge on a double edge razor, and they're pennies each.
Yeah.
And man, if someone bought me a year's supply of Gillette cartridges, I'd try and give them back, or I'd throw them out. I refuse to use them now. It's completely changed my routine for shaving.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, you definitely got to go for that. You'll never regret it.
No. Okay. Yeah, because it's probably $100 you can get.
Oh, even less than that.
Yeah, but even $100,
$100
just think
will get you a nice razor.
Just think of the just think of how much those cartridges are.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're $50.
Yeah.
It doesn't last me half a year.
No, yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, you buy one of the larger packs from, say, Walmart, $35, $39. I'm not paying that. There's no way. I used to, but I'm not anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, $100 for a safety razor, you can get a pretty nice razor.
Can it?
Either a solid brass or plated. Most of them are made from brass. For the heft, you want the weight.
Right.
But man, it's once you get that angle down and you make that first pass, and you're like, oh yeah, that's what I've been looking for.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. It was. I wouldn't say it was life changing, but it makes you. I don't know. For me, it put a spring in my step that day. It was crazy, just from shaving. It was awesome. I've never gone back. Yeah, trying to convince my wife to use those instead of the cartridges, but because then she's got so many different soaps to choose from. They make that Bond Street used to make a rose. Just this intense aroma of rose while you're shaving, but as soon as you wipe it off, the smell is gone. You're not going to smell like a rose walking down the street, and it's just to have that sensation. It's like smoking a cigar. It's the same type of aesthetic of smoking a cigar that you get with wet shaving, with a proper kit. It's the whole preparation. It's the making of the whip, the soap, the preparation of your skin. It's the same thing with a cigar or packing a pipe. It's that routine. It's that ritual you go through. And you think Schick is going to offer that? No.
No. And I think men, we don't take care of ourselves well enough. I think it's a nice little thing you can do for yourself.
It is.
Yeah.
A
nice little thing you can do for yourself. A good shave. I mean, for the money, it's actually, you know what? It's not even the money. It's cheaper.
It's
cheaper than shaving the regular way.
Yeah. I tried an electric razor too.
I can't do it. Pulls the hair out of my face.
You and me are two peas in a pod, man.
The worst.
Yeah, I'm like bright red. I'm going, okay, I'm still stubbly, and that did not work.
It's like you might as well have it waxed out of you, because you're running that razor over your face. So what the hell is this doing?
And for some people, it works great.
I don't know. It doesn't do anything for me. All it does is pull the hair out.
Yeah.
It's just brutal.
It's a painful experience. It's like one of those Epa ladies.
Yeah.
Just wedges them between two rings and just yanks it out.
Them out.
Yeah, it's a painful experience.
Well, I'm gonna go see him at Copper Hat. I think it's time. Get a proper blade.
I'll point you in the direction of one razor that I use it's adjustable, and I think he runs his at like $89. It looks good. It feels nice in the hand. It's a good razor.
Yeah,
I've been really happy with it.
Yeah, I've seen that where you can adjust the guard on them.
Yeah,
I've seen that.
So what it does is when the guard moves up and down, it allows the razor to flex like this.
Okay.
So as you let the guard or the cap up, it tips the razors out.
Okay.
Which exposes more of the edge that you can rake against your face.
Okay.
And when you have it tightened right down, it curves it right down flat to the guard underneath, and it will only cut at a very specific angle. And when it does, it's a pretty shallow cut.
Okay.
So if you have sensitive skin, or you just want a top me up going out that night, and you shaved this morning, but you just want a little bit more, just tighten her down and go again.
Okay.
So you can shave 2-3 times a day with that system. You try that with a cartridge system, and you'll be raw.
Oh my gosh, not a chance. That's why I never shave. Yeah.
It works.
I've decided I'm gonna keep this beard over the winter, and then off she goes.
Yeah.
This spring, that's it. I'm gonna see my baby face again.
You look like you're 20 years young.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. No, I've had this forever. I don't know if I would ever
get rid of it.
Yeah. I don't know. Kind of set in my ways.
Yeah.
It's my routine.
Fair enough.
Around the sides, and that's it. Nobody's questioning it.
Yeah.
So that's good. It doesn't pose a problem when I wear a respirator at work, though, because I have to be clean shaven. So it has to be a seal. Right?
Yes.
And you can't have facial hair. It's not allowed.
So how does that work?
You got to shave.
Oh, so you have to wear a respirator.
Yeah. So I make sure that I perform my audits in a way where I don't have to wear a respirator. I don't get too close.
That's hilarious.
Can you hold it up? Just hold it up a little bit. Okay. Use a monocular to No, I don't like shaving if I don't have to.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's a wrap, I think, buddy.
I think so.
Thanks
too.
so much for coming out.
Yeah,
It
no
was really
problem.
good hearing your story and hearing about your parents and stuff.
Yeah, and it was good for me too because it forces you to do a little bit of reading, a little bit of like I had a good chat with my mom getting this information.
Cool.
Like she worked in a jeans factory when they lived in Winnipeg for that short time. She was a riveter on jeans and bundled denim jeans, and she worked at the Nutty Club candy factory. It's still there, still a candy factory. Like you've seen Nutty Club.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
I didn't know you did all that, and it was a learning experience for sure
That's cool.
because it forces you to, ask questions. So little mini interview with my mom before I had my little mini interview with you, and I learned a lot of stuff that I didn't know, and more appreciation for what my family went through to let me be sitting here smoking cigars.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, I know. It's good. It's good. Everyone should do that. Interview their parents. Interview their family.
Before
Before it's
not
too
able
late.
to,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like I said, with your parents, it's something you got to do. You got to do it,
Yeah. I will.
even if it's just for yourself.
Yeah. No, I'm going to put it up and then the family can see it,
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Very cool.
All right, man. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay.
Cheers. Beauty.
Good stuff.
Yeah, that was super fun.
Yeah, the story kind of wandered there.
It does. That's the way it always goes.
Yeah.